Welcome back to day 2 of the Shack News E3 2019 live stream brought to you by HyperX. And we are at the E3 Esports Zone 2019. That is the second time I've messed that up, if you've been counting. And today we're going to be talking about all the wondrous and imaginative things we've seen on the show floor. My name is Brittany Vincent. I'm a senior editor at Shack News. And I'm joined today by Donovan and Steve, our lovely editors as well. And we have lots of cool things to bring you today, since you at home probably haven't been able to make it out today. So with that said, how have you guys been enjoying the show so far?
I've been really enjoying it. I've been having a good time at E3 so far. A lot of cool games. I already got the slide to the Nintendo booth once. Hopefully gonna make that 2 times for the show's over. West Hall is it's looking a little emptier this year with no Sony around.
Yeah.
But I mean, Nintendo's really taking this one over full on. And then South Hall still looks pretty great. There's no Activision this year, but Fortnite, they just swallowed up all that empty space, so they've got like an entire carnival going on over there. How about you, Steve?
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm always Nintendo when we come to E3, and I gotta agree with Donovan that Nintendo, I always go. That I got to play Link's Awakening. I waited a little while for that. That was worth the wait.
How was it?
It was pretty good. Unfortunately, there was a little bit of slowdown on it, but I will.
Oh, really?
But that was fine. Unfortunately, that was with the Switch, but I'll chalk that up to just that's okay because it looked gorgeous. Perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. And then we did get to play Pokemon, which that was one of my games of the show.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Pokemon fan, as you can tell by my shirt.
Yeah, man.
And totally worth the wait. But I do agree with you that the South Hall is barren compared to years past. But Fortnite did pick up the slack on it.
Yeah, man.
But that's what they always do.
Yeah, they're just taking over.
And
Well, you said you got to play Pokemon. So did I.
did.
It's pretty good. We got to play through a gym. So we went through like the water type gym. We had to solve some puzzles where there's like different pipelines. You got to like move water around so that you can get through and get to the gym leader. And then we faced gym leader Vanessa. Or
Yes.
it's just
Nessa.
Nessa. Yeah,
Yes.
it's just Nessa. Probably short from Nessa.
Probably.
Wasn't that easy. I went down to like my last Pokemon. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I don't have it like I used to. But she was giving me some troubles.
I tried to be cool and tried to fight her water on water.
Yeah.
And that didn't work very well.
Yeah.
But then I was going in, I was thinking Dynamaxing. I wanted to see how that was going to go.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And that was pretty cool. At first I thought, I didn't know if that was going to take too much away from the battles, but I was impressed. I was glad that didn't take away from it. Mm-hmm. And then I took care of her. I was glad that I was able to beat her. So,
yeah,
that was fun.
I really enjoyed it. And we actually got to see a couple of unannounced Pokemon in that demo that we didn't know about until we played it. Yamper, which is a Corgi. There's an electric Corgi Pokemon.
There's
everybody.
a Corgi Pokemon.
Yes, it's an electric type. It's got a little lightning bolt tail.
I haven't seen or heard this,
it's got
but
a
now
little
I have
yellow
to.
collar. His name is Yamper. It's the cutest thing ever. And then there's a dark fairy type, which is like the first time that's ever been done. They've never had a dark fairy type ever since those were introduced. And it's an imp. It's called Impidimp.
Yeah, Impidimp.
And it's like this little imp. You can tell that it's probably going to like evolve into some big hulking demon, but it's pretty cool. And that's a Pokemon to watch out for. Dark Fairy, that's a pretty strong type matchup. They don't have too many weaknesses. They're like immune to some of the more offensive types. But Brittany, what did you get to play yesterday?
I actually didn't get to play a lot of things. Most of my appointments were actually to sit and watch the games.
Yeah.
I really wanted to check out Final Fantasy VII Remake, of course.
Yeah.
That is my game of the show since Death Stranding isn't here. But that was not to be yesterday. However, I did see a really cool indie game called Crystales. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It was at the Modus booth, and it's doing some really cool old school RPG stuff. So it actually has a really interesting mechanic where there's a triangle like thing on the screen, and it represents the past, the present, and the future. So there's a really interesting battle mechanic where you go in and say you have an enemy with a shield was the example that we had. Now you can't attack through the shield obviously because they're going to block it.
Yeah.
So this boss character we attacked with the water spell, and that rusted the shield. But what happens is we send her into the future with the future crystal, which rusts the shield and in turn gives us the ability to defeat her. And they're doing some interesting things in that respect with time and the past and the present that I haven't really seen done before in this respect. So I really enjoyed seeing that presentation.
That sounds fun. I haven't even heard of that game. I might have to check that out.
Yeah, sounds good.
You talked about Final Fantasy VII. I've never even played the original Final Fantasy VII. But
What? I'm sorry. Hold on.
Yeah,
Okay, rewind. Hold
I
on.
said that a little too nonchalant.
Yeah, you guys gonna hate me too.
We started day 2 of
My-
E3,
my apologies.
finding out Donovan has not played Final Fantasy VII. First, it was Duke Nukem 3D.
Yeah, never
He
played
did-
that either.
He rectified that.
Yeah, I played it now though. I have beaten that game, but as somebody who's never played Final Fantasy VII, that remake looks awesome. That game looks so good. I mean, the only characters I can name from Final Fantasy are Cloud and Sephiroth.
I think
But-
that's pretty much
but those-
everyone's.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
Everyone
that's
knows
pretty
Cloud
much the
and
only ones
Sephiroth.
you
Even
need.
if you've never played a Final Fantasy, I
Yeah.
think that's pretty universal.
I mean, it looks pretty great. So I mean, I don't know. I've never really known where I should jump in or out at on the Final Fantasy franchise. I mean, they're at like 15 installments now, plus whatever
and spin-offs.
spin-offs. Yeah, so it's kind of daunting when I look at that franchise. But do you think like the 7 remake would be a good spot to just jump in for somebody who's never played?
Yeah, I would absolutely. I mean, that is one of the best, in my opinion, the best. 7, 8, and 9. Those are like my holy trinity of the Final Fantasy universe.
Gotcha.
But I mean, you're getting an expanded Midgar story. I assume they're going to be exploring the same things that they introduced in Crisis Core as well. If not making that a different part of the story. I don't know. So that way you can kind of not kill two birds with one stone and not have to play the prequel or the other spin-offs or watch the anime, the quick anime short they did. And with all the expanded mechanics, if you came onto Final Fantasy at a later date, like with 15 or 13, which the combat is more similar to than in the past,
Yeah, it is.
it would make more sense to you having not played the turn-based back in the day. At least that's what I feel like.
Gotcha. Well, you see, are you in the Final Fantasy?
I am not. I am just going to keep my mouth shut
They
that I
put me
haven't
up
played
here with
Final Fantasy
two
VII either.
non-Final Fantasy fans. I'm offended.
We're so sorry.
It's
It's okay.
Hey, I apologize that I haven't played Final Fantasy VII.
What do you guys have going on today? Any like particular interviews you're looking forward to, or like appointments that you got coming up? or-
I have an appointment with Bandai Namco
Okay.
later today. I was going to say earlier today, but I am still on East Coast time, so I don't even know what day it is. Pretty much like 90% of the people who are at E3 don't even know what day it is.
I feel you.
And I'm looking forward to what is it? Dragon Ball Kakarot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
They're
new
showing
RPG.
off the new RPG.
Is that going to be a part of your appointment? Are you going to get to
I
play
hope
that,
so.
or-
I believe I'm going to.
Okay.
So that should be fun. I mean, I'm into the Dragon Ball Z a little bit. on
We're going to
that.
play through the Frieza saga for the
Frieza and all
13th
that.
time
Yeah, it's
in
like
games.
yeah.
the
I love
15th,
that.
20th?
the 80th
Something
time
like
that
that.
they've rehashed that. But and then what I do like for some of that is when they do the English dialogue. I'm on the minority on that. When they give you the option to have the English, I'm sure like everyone's like, "Oh, Steve, what are you talking about? Why do
Yeah.
you want to have the English
The
dialogue?"
purists will tell you got to
That's
listen
what we
to
grew up with, too. A lot of people that
And
watch
it's like-
Dragon Ball Z, they
like, why
watch
do
the
you-
dub. So
Yeah, it's like
it's more familiar. I personally would have the Funimation dub over the DBZ subtitles. It's just what I grew up with. It's more familiar to
I
me.
mean, it's like I just want the option. It's
Yeah,
like,
just
I
have
get
the
that
option.
It's
I want the option always, personally. If there's a dual language
Exactly.
game, I'd like to have two choices.
It's like I just
For
want
sure.
I just want the option.
Yeah.
And then
I understand it's not always feasible. But like we were
Sure,
saying
yeah.
yesterday with Judgment, that's one of the first dubs to be in the Yakuza series for a while. And I think it's such a great idea since it's going to open up new avenues to people because there are people that will staunchly refuse
Oh,
to play a
exactly.
game if it is not dubbed. They'll just be like, subtitles? I don't have time to read.
Those
I can't read.
purists.
I mean, I mean, it's not going to keep me from buying it or reviewing it or whatever if it's not. Oh, it doesn't have subtitles or the dub. Like some people, like the purists, it's like I'm not. It's like, oh, if it's a good game, I'm gonna look at it. It's like
Yeah.
things like that. So, What else do you guys have today?
Not to toot my own horn or anything, but I actually have an appointment with Big Red over there, Nintendo, later today.
Oh, you do?
To go
Ooh.
with Ozzy, Greg, Asif, myself. We're all gonna go over.
I really wish I had an appointment with
Yeah, I
Nintendo.
always,
not-
I always try to go, but they never.
Yeah, I kind of stumbled into that appointment. I wasn't originally supposed to be there, but through a series of fortunate events, I should be over there. I don't know. Well, no, I do know actually. I think it's Luigi's Mansion 3, more Pokemon. I don't know if it'll be the same demo we played or like some more stuff. Hopefully, it's some more
It'll
stuff.
probably be more stuff.
That'd be
Hopefully.
cool. And then they're not gonna have Animal Crossing. Dude. That game's far from
Nah,
ready.
that's far from.
And then just some more. So I'm hoping maybe we can play as the new Smash DLC fighters. Maybe they'll have the hero from Dragon Quest. I mean, how about that announcement yesterday?
Oh, that was.
those announcements, how they started and ended with those announcements for new Smash DLC characters.
I saw a Banjo-Kazooie. Who else was in it?
Yeah,
Yes.
they did Banjo at the end, and they did the fake out. Like last year, I don't know if you remember when they announced King K. Rool.
Mm-hmm.
We start off with the cinematic, and it's like Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong in their
Yeah.
cabin. And like you see like something coming outside, and they're like freaking out, and it's like a silhouette, and it looks like King K. Rool. And it's like False Alarm, it's another character. I can't remember who it was that was like, I think it was like King DDD or somebody was like dressed as
Yeah, it
King
was
K.
King,
Rool.
Yeah.
It was King
And
DDD.
They
so.
faked you out, and then the real King K. Rool shows up, and he's like, joins the battle. They did the same thing this year, where it's like it looks like Banjo-Kazooie, and then it's just Duck Hunt in a costume,
Yeah,
and
it
they're
was
like
Duck Hunt
laughing. And the real Banjo and Kazooie swoop down, and everybody loses their minds.
I didn't see the direct because I was getting ready to come
Yeah,
up
you
here.
were on your way here,
But
so
I think one of the announcements people slept on
Yeah.
was the Panzer Dragoon remake.
right. That came
No
out of
one is
nowhere.
talking about that.
I saw
I
that.
need more information about that right now.
It took me so long to like remember that franchise. I was like, I haven't played a Panzer Dragoon game since I
It's
was
not
in like.
Saga. I wish it was Panzer Dragoon Saga.
Oh,
I want
yeah,
a remake
yeah.
of that so bad. If anyone's watching this, please mark that down, write it down. I need it. Thank you.
But I mean, that was such a dead franchise. I haven't played any of those games in so many years. And is that going to be a Switch exclusive?
I
when it
didn't
comes
see the
back?
announcements. I
I
just
did
read
not
over a press
see
release
if
very
it
quickly
was
on the
or
way to
not.
E3. So I still haven't even seen if there was a trailer or not, but I heard it
There was, yeah.
and I was very excited.
Yeah,
I was like, Banjo Kazooie is all right, but
Mhm.
Panzer Dragoon.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo had probably one of the stronger showings, I'd say. I mean, they started off with the hero from Dragon Quest XI is coming to a Smash, and I mean, that game is so good. Dragon Quest XI is like, it's just a joy, and to see that character coming, along with former characters from the other Dragon Quest games, they've got like, I think from almost all the main series titles are going to be in there. It's not clear if they're going to be Echo Fighters or if they're just going to be different reskins, but either way, I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah,
They have a bunch of stuff like Witcher 3 is getting
yeah, Witcher
ported
3, really good.
to Switch. I mean, just so much stuff going on. Yeah.
Speaking of Dragon Quest, I saw Dragon Quest Builders 2 yesterday.
Oh, you did? How was it?
Yeah, it was awesome. They had a little chat about some of the multiplayer and a few of the customization options in there, and it'll be on PS4 and Switch. I did ask if they had ever planned on doing any VR capabilities. Unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen, but
Yeah,
they
no.
wanted to focus on the gameplay aspects instead. However, from what I saw, it looks like it's going to be a pretty exciting time for anyone that loves Dragon Quest. Especially, there is a fun Easter egg that I'm going to write about in my preview related to an older Dragon Quest and a weapon that was originally a glitch. If you're familiar with the series, I'm just going to tease it for now. I'm going to write about it in
I'm
the
going
preview.
to have to read that. I'm going to have to read that. I love Dragon Quest, but I haven't played a lot of the older games. It's weird because a lot of them now are hard to get your hands on, but they're available like on the iOS and Android store, so I might end up having to play through some of the OG titles just on my phone.
We gotta
But,
get
yeah.
get you on some of those older games, Donovan.
I know. I missed out on a lot of games, but I've been going back and playing stuff. You know, like I never played Resident Evil, but I played that RE2 remake, and that's like, if we had to vote today, that's my game of the year. I mean, that game is
Yeah,
just so
I
good
agree.
from top to bottom.
But
It's
the
just-
the year isn't over, and Death Stranding
no.
is coming out in November. So that kind of,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
That,
I don't
Death
know.
Stranding is like, without seeing or without playing a second of that game, it has to be at the top of your radar
Yeah.
for like game of the year conversation. What about you, Steve? What are some of your contenders you think so far? Even though we're only halfway through the year, what are some of the better games you played?
That's tough for a game of the year already. Because Nintendo's coming out with a lot of strong competitors.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Super Mario Maker 2, man.
Yeah, Mario
Coming
Maker
out
2.
in a couple weeks.
We'll see what Pokemon let's see how that does. I'm really looking forward to. We'll see Cyberpunk. We'll see how that.
Oh,
see how
yeah.
that does.
Yeah. That's going
Uh,
to end up being early next year. And
Is
Yeah,
that
it's
early
next
next year?
year.
I
it's funny
apologize
'cause
for that.
Animal Crossing would have been a big one for this year, but we just found out they got delayed.
Yeah.
So that's going to be another one next year. It feels like this fall isn't as stacked as the spring that's going to follow it. Like that March to April window next year is like slammed with games.
Yeah, it
Now I don't
is.
think that they're all gonna end up releasing as
They're probably
on the
going to get
dates that they're
delayed,
on.
at least one or two of them probably.
Yeah, but right now it's like Cyberpunk, Animal Crossing, and just a whole bunch of stuff is stacked up in
Yeah.
2020. So we're going to see how that shapes out. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I forgot a big announcement that we forgot to talk about was that a sequel to Breath of the Wild has been officially
I
confirmed to
heard
be in
about
development.
that
Yes.
very briefly, but I
Yeah.
don't. Did they give any details?
No, so it's
No.
just at the end of Nintendo's Direct, they had a little cinematic, and you could tell it was the Breath of the Wild world. We all thought it was going to be DLC, like we're all in the war room, like, oh, what's this, an expansion pack, blah, blah, blah. And the one man who called it, before they even announced it, was our own David Craddock. He, in our Shack Chat we did last week, we did, what's on your E3 wish list? And his was a sequel to Breath of the Wild confirmed to be in development. And at the very end, it's the little title card comes up, and it's like
Looks
the
like we
sequel
got
to Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild is currently in development. And David actually furthered his theory on that. He thinks that's going to be coming out next year. He thinks that's going to be Nintendo's big fall 2020 release, just
Yeah.
to kind of combat next gen consoles that are probably going to be coming out then. I mean, we already know Project
Yeah.
Scarlet is going to be fall 2020. PS5 is probably going to match that energy and come out next fall as well. So, if so, we're shaping up for one big 2020 in the gaming world.
And some really sad wallets for many of us as
I-
well.
Yeah.
Good luck with 2020. Unfortunately, I would like it to be 2020, but track record with Nintendo,
Yeah, I
it
mean,
would be nice.
we'll see. I mean, you gotta assume they've probably been working on it for a couple of years now. I mean, Breath of the Wild was March 2017. I doubt that they just started it, and they're also announcing it just as they're commencing their.
They've probably been working
mean,
on it since
yeah.
the end of the last game.
I mean, if it's a direct sequel, I mean, they probably have all the resources.
Yeah, they're
that
gonna
they
have the
need.
Yeah.
assets, so they're not building
So-
that engine from the ground up. It's not like when they were making Breath of the Wild and they had to pretty much create that game from scratch. They didn't have
You would,
anything.
you would think that 2020 would be realistic
Yeah, I think it's reasonable.
for it. So,
Yeah.
but we all know realistic doesn't mean anything
Yeah.
with games sometimes.
Nintendo's proven time and time again that they just rock to the beat of their own drum.
And now
so
espe-
if they want to just not release that game until 2022, they'll do it,
That's
and it'll
true.
still be one of the best-selling games
And-
that year.
And now, especially with everyone coming out with we want their families to be able to spend time with their families.
Yeah.
So I could see 2021 being realistic for them.
Yeah, and
So-
another game I'm looking forward to that's not coming out in 2020, it's going to be arriving later this year, is Watch Dogs Legion. I don't know if you guys were watching during the Ubisoft keynote, but they
I saw
opened,
the grannies.
they opened
That is
up,
an important
man,
part of it.
that super like espionage granny is like the coolest thing I've ever seen. I'm gonna
Super
play,
espionage granny should just be its own
Yeah,
game.
that just sounds
right. Like I'm gonna play through all of Watch Dogs Legion as that one character.
They
Like
said that you can be a whole legion of grannies.
yeah,
I
like
saw
you can
that on
just,
Twitter.
Apparently, you can just recruit any NPC. So like my British team of like super soldiers is gonna be a bunch of retired grandmas, you know, and we're just gonna kick butt and take names.
And that's diverse and revolutionary because you're going to have
It's-
a whole legion of old women just
that
kicking
just
ass.
sounds perfect.
It's cool, and I don't think they mentioned it, but you can see it during the Ubisoft stream, is that all of the different characters you recruit have their own different like bonuses and weaknesses just based on their characters. So like the grandmas, I saw that she had like a really good like sense of like tactical strategy, but one of her weaknesses was she had limited mobility. So grandma probably can't run as fast as the young whippersnappers hacking everything, but
Maybe she has a hip
Yeah,
replacement.
she's got a
trait.
hip. If she's
Yeah,
got hip
you know.
dysplasia, she can't really run very fast.
you know, she's a retired hacker coming out to fight against whatever the heck's going on in that game. But I mean, I love Watch Dogs. The first game was probably a letdown, but I mean, I really enjoyed it. I know that I'm in the minority on that, but I played the heck out of that game. I 100%ed it. It's just, I just love the whole hacking aspect. It was just the endless playground of fun for me. And then like Watch Dogs 2 really ups that ante with Marcus, and then you got like the flying drones and the story there. It's just fun. It's just lighthearted. The one big negative I have on that franchise that I hope that they've paid attention to with the third installment is the driving. Like you play a game like GTA where the driving in Grand Theft Auto is just so finely tuned. It's almost like you're playing a racing game when you're in a car. And then you play Watch Dogs and it kind of feels like you're just driving a really fast tank around the city. So if they can get that down, I mean, that's going to be one of the biggest titles this year for sure.
Yeah, it looks like it could be pretty cool. Now, something I want to mention that I don't know if anyone's really talking about, but I saw the announcement and I totally freaked out. Konami is bringing out a TurboGrafx 16 Mini, and I completely lost my mind about
Really?
that. Yes,
I
my
saw
first
you
thought was,
commented
can
on
I
that.
have little baby Hue cards with it? Please God, let me have that. It is so adorable. I mean, it doesn't seem mini from the photo,
Yeah.
but this is such an out of left field announcement, and I just cannot wait to go put it with my regular TurboGrafx and my PC Engine and all those other amazing old consoles. It's just, I love mini consoles. What can I say? I don't care if
Yeah.
they're functional. I don't care if they're slow. Just aesthetically and just to have them, it's just, it warms my heart. So I don't know if you guys heard about that, but it's very
I
exciting. It's
did
not a
know
Metal
about that.
Gear announcement, which I wouldn't want anyway without Kojima, but
I
Yeah.
saw that you I saw that you commented on that. That
yeah.
one doesn't really get me going. I like the Sega one. I haven't gotten to play the Sega one yet because I grew up with the Sega and the Super Nintendo, and I may have to check out the Sega Mini just to see if it's pure to the Sega games.
Yeah.
Has anybody gotten the chance to play the Sega Mini
No, I
on the?
didn't. I haven't. I didn't really get a chance to play that. I didn't know about the one you just mentioned until just now. Those mini consoles are they're fun. They're kind of like a novelty. I mean,
Hmm.
you probably aren't gonna play them as much as you think you
No,
will.
I don't play
But
them at all, but
they're
it's nice to have if
yeah,
I
they're fun to
want
have. They
to.
look really cool. They're a nice little ticket of the past. But I'm surprised Nintendo didn't announce like an N64 mini
They
or
probably will.
anything.
I think if we give them some
Yeah, they
time, I think
probably
it's
will.
Yeah,
probably still going to
it's got to
happen.
be a no-brainer for them. I mean, I
Yeah.
think those are doing pretty well. People are fighting and
They're probably saving it
trampling
for when
over
they
each
need
other
to
to get
print
them.
some money out, just like that, that
Yeah.
elusive Mother 3 that I said that I wanted, which will never happen.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo's kind of just sitting on a throne of IPs that they can just kind of pull out whenever they
They'll
want
never
and be
be
like,
broke.
"Give us
Young
your paycheck,
Nintendo never broke again.
give us all of your money right now," and people, we just all hand it over.
That's always fun. To always be able to be like, yeah, pull this one out from like 1994. I'm like, yep, hey,
Yeah, I mean, that's the
reprint.
empire they've built up. You gotta love it.
So if you guys get a moment to check out something on the floor today, what would it be? What would you like to go have fun with on the floor?
As,
Outside of appointments, what would you wait in line for?
as far as games, I think Avengers is playable. I think Avengers is
I think it
playable
is.
at
Is
Square
it?
Enix's booth. I don't have an appointment for that. I haven't seen gameplay other than what we saw in Square Enix's press conference yesterday, but yeah,
I believe it is.
Avengers looks really fun. It kind of sounds like a beefed up version of Ultimate Alliance, really, where you're kind of just playing as the different heroes, trading off, which is weird because we're getting a new Ultimate Alliance in less than a month, or just about a month. But yeah, so we saw that trailer yesterday. It was like the 5 core Avengers except Hawkeye because nobody loves Hawkeye. He always gets the short end of the stick. But I'm sure he'll be coming in DLC down the line. And
We have an article about that. Where
yeah.
was Hawkeye?
Yeah,
if you're
I did.
interested.
I wrote the Where's Hawkeye. They mentioned during the stream that they plan on supporting that game for years to come. So it kind of sounds like game of service kind of thing. And they mentioned that they do plan to add heroes. So I see this as being one of those like akin to Smash Brothers, where it's like every few months, Hawkeye's joining the game, Spider-Man's joining the game, Miss Marvel, and it's just 2 years from now, there's going to be like 40 or 50 different Avengers to play as, starting from that original team of 5, which could be fun. I mean, I'm looking forward to that. What do you guys think of the Avengers reveal?
I didn't get to see
I
anything
haven't
other
gotten
than
a
the
chance
footage
to
on
see it.
the
Oh, really?
conference.
That's a part of it, but I haven't gotten a chance to get over there. I'm looking for. I want to try and get over to see some of Bethesda's stuff.
Yeah.
Deathloop, I believe.
Deathloop.
Yeah, I'd like to go over there
That-
too.
And
I
then
forgot about that
Commander
game.
Keen, which I didn't see anything about, which I'm very excited. I
Yeah,
cannot wait.
That's a mobile title they've got coming. Yeah.
that and Ghostwire. 'Cause
Yeah, that looks
Ghostwire
cool.
Tokyo looks
What-
so good.
when we were at their press conference,
Mhm.
those were the two that really got me
Uh-huh.
excited.
Yeah, that and then Deathloop, like you said, where it looks like it's like 2 assassins are just like hunting after each other. It just looks like
I mean, it's
Well-
like it's like Groundhog Day, the movie,
Yeah.
just with the killers.
yeah.
And it's like that just appeals to me. I don't know why.
It
It's
just seems like such a fun and original concept. I can't wait to get my hands on that. And then Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo.
yes.
Like you said, another original IP. It just seems really fun to me. Yeah.
That just and she was adorable.
Oh yeah, the I think it was the
Yeah,
lead
everyone
designer.
can't
Yes, the
stop
lead
talking
developer,
about
the
the
lead
developer.
designer. I'm blanking on her name. I apologize.
She was awesome. She was great. Me and Blake tried to find her during the after party, but we couldn't get a hold of her. She was so popular. But,
That would have been like a needle in a haystack.
yeah, that game's gonna be really fun. And when you said Deathloop, it reminded me of the game that was announced on Microsoft stage, 12 Minutes, where it's like that. it's another like Groundhog's Day kind of thing where it's the same 12 minutes played on loop over and over again. It's from like a top-down perspective. I think it's Annapurna is doing it.
I believe so. And we're actually just about out of time for today's segment. So
Oh,
I'm
really?
going to keep talking for like hours because we've seen so much stuff and
Okay.
there's way too much to talk about. But that's okay. We have lots of additional content coming your way on the stream today. We have coming up at 9:45 the Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist for Switch. And at 10 we have the Forza Horizon 4 DLC content. At 10:15 Catherine Full Body, a personal favorite for me. And then we have after that an interview with Megaron. And then at 11 we have the Subnation Live with Machine. At 11:15 a conversation with Kim Rom of X Plane. At 11:45 Brave with Bernie and Jan. At 12 Level Up screening with Golden Boy. And at 1 Child's Play with Machine. So you have all kinds of cool content coming up. And we will be coming back with you live very shortly at the Shack News E3 2019 live stream brought to you by HyperX. Be cool and stay tuned.
My days are very normal. I go to work. When I come home, my me time is dedicated to games. My inner savage is guiding force, a king even, ruling by example rather than just by decree. My inner savage is always with me. Powered by Intel Core i7 processors.
We've all been there. Make or break. Sometimes we break. Some stay broken. Not you. Because you don't break. You just haven't made it. Yet.
welcome back to the Shack News E3 2019 live stream brought to you by HyperX, and we've got tons more exciting stuff for you today. Right now, I am joined by our friends at Konami and our favorite intern, Donovan, as we come back to you live from the E3 Esports Zone right here in the center of the E3 show floor, brought to you by Subnation. So today, what have you guys brought to show us today? If you want to introduce yourselves, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Shea. I'm the Associate Digital Marketing Manager on Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist, Link Evolution.
And I'm Charles Murakami, producer for Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist, Link Evolution for upcoming Nintendo Switch.
Gotcha.
Okay, so what should Yu-Gi-Oh fans know about this Nintendo Switch exclusive entry in the Yu-Gi-Oh series?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I do want to say that this game is for everybody. So if you're a big fan of Yu-Gi-Oh, this is a good entry point for anyone from Yu-Gi-Oh to even the latest Yu-Gi-Oh Reigns.
Yeah, so Yu-Gi-Oh has been around, the anime has been around for 20 years.
I
And
feel
we
so old now. Thank you.
but there's 20 years of history to go through. So this game will cover everything from your favorite, the original Yu-Gi-Oh
The original
show.
that I know the most about, which isn't still a lot, but
Right.
enough.
But we go through all the series. So after that came GX, 5Ds, Zexal, Arc 5, and currently on the air is Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns. So we cover all of that in one game.
Got you. So you mentioned that the game's coming to Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
Which is like, I mean, I was gonna say the hot new platform. It's been out for a couple years now, but
It's still hot.
It
It's still
feels like
sizzling.
the hot new
Yeah.
platform. It's just such a fun way to play. Can you speak to what it was like designing for the Switch?
Yeah, so the minute the Nintendo Switch was announced, people were asking for a Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh, really?
game for the Nintendo Switch. A lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Games have come out for Nintendo platforms.
Uh-huh.
So we definitely wanted to bring it out for a Switch. But the number one thing that comes with a portable system is local multiplayer.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
wanted to make sure you could play with your friends sitting next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we brought that in. We have, you could make your own deck and play against each other.
Uh-huh.
Or we included this a sealed draft play. You take your set number of cards and you make a deck out of that, and you could play that locally as well.
Gotcha. And so, Sam, I wanted to ask you. So, you guys had mentioned earlier how Yu-Gi-Oh's been around for 20 years. That is a very, very devoted fan base. People really
Absolutely.
love Yu-Gi-Oh, and rightfully so. Can you kind of speak to like what's some new things that fans of the franchise can expect to see?
Yeah, so what's actually crazy is I used to be a huge trading card game player myself.
Yes.
You know, I played for at least like 10 years. And at some point, I kind of stopped playing, but I still had a genuine love for Yu-Gi-Oh! And this game is literally the epitome of everything a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player would want in a game. So for me to kind of learn the new rules as well as the new mechanics, this is a great entry point for me. So when I actually picked up the game myself, I was like, this is everything that one would be familiar with. On top of that, it's something that I do want to see where the game has gone. So I do feel like for those who are more inundated with Yu-Gi-Oh! And the trading card game itself, this is a great combination of everything that they would ever want in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game.
Awesome. So it sounds like, I mean, there's going to be plenty of stuff there for like the hardcore fan base. It's also going to welcome new fans with open arms, it seems as though.
Very well, yes.
Yeah, we actually put in tutorials throughout. So if it's been a while since you played Yu-Gi-Oh, don't worry. There's an entry point for you throughout the entire game. And we go through, not only do we cover the series, we go through all the seasons throughout the series.
Okay.
There's so much in here. By the time you'll be an expert of Yu-Gi-Oh.
There's so many cards and so many different characters to memorize. I mean, not just in Yu-Gi-Oh, but for people that follow Pokemon as well, they have the trading card game that you can play online as well. So just having it all at one place, so you can learn the cards, learn the rules, see what you've missed over the years, just like with me. So what kind of elements did you make sure that were included in this game to make people comfortable if they haven't been on the train for a while?
Yeah, so throughout the game, if you don't know the new cards, it's okay. Before every match, we have a pre-made deck for you. It
Okay.
says, hey, would you like to play this deck? But if you want to play your own deck, that's fine as well. And once again, tutorials throughout. So don't worry if I don't know how to play that deck. We will have something. It will slowly get harder and harder, but by then you'll be able to play anything you want. And we also included a thing called related cards. So once you collect all the cards, you find one that you like. With a press of a button, it'll show you all of these cards that work really well with that one card.
Now
You can
that's
just
very helpful.
Right, and we have 9,000 cards.
Yes,
It'll whittle
that's why
it
it's
down
helpful.
to about a little over 100. So you could choose from a very small pool that work really well for you.
Of course, you don't have that luxury when you're at home just with bags and bags of cards laid out in front of you, so that's something that people are really going to gravitate
Yeah, the
toward.
video game is perfect for that. And even when I was playing the physical card game, I tend to forget what other cards there are because there's so many. So I actually use the game to actually just press a button and just see all the related cards that go with it. And I was like, oh, I forgot about that, and I'll put that into my deck.
And that sounds like a very, very useful feature, just for me in general, because I mean, I'm not as familiar with the cards, so that just seeing something I do like and something that pairs well with it would be a good start. Now, you mentioned being able to create your own decks.
Yes.
Are there going to be any features that you could potentially share your decks online with other players?
You'll be able to compete against other players
Okay,
online.
good enough.
Right? But not speaking of multiplayer.
Yeah, so multiplayer. I wanted to ask about like the different game modes that are going to be available. I assume that players will have a bit of variety and choices as to how they want to play Yu-Gi-Oh. So what is?
Actually, absolutely. So the really cool thing is this both caters to both the casual and the core and the intermediary. So there's actually one mode I do want to highlight, which is the sealed and draft play. I actually got a chance to kind of do this myself, play this myself against other people, and it is just phenomenally fun. The fact that both players are on an even playing field and you have a set card pool, so no player has advantage over the next.
Oh, so you're
Yeah.
using like the same deck of cards, or
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
same small limited set of cards. And you could play this once again. You could play it online, and since it's the Nintendo Switch, you could play it locally as well.
Yes. That's really cool. I mean, it's a way to force people to rely on strategy. If you're using the exact same cards as people, it's really a test of skill and knowledge of the game in that case, then, right?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we've kind of done that in the office a few times, the Charles and I. We can see who's a little bit better.
So who's better? Who
Charles kind of beat me out
Put him
a
on the
little
spot
bit.
there a
I'm
little
a
bit,
little bit
Donovan.
rusty,
at
but
least you're honest, you know.
yeah. But one thing I did want to emphasize is the anime aspect of it. For myself, I've actually only seen the first 2 seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh! With a little bit of the third. So this is a great entry point for those who actually like the anime, because as Charles mentioned, this highlights a lot of the key elements as well as story plot points that some players might have missed during when they were watching Yu-Gi-Oh!
Is there any special DLC or expansions planned in the future, or do you already have that mapped out?
Special scenes throughout?
Like
well-
like a DLC,
DLC.
down the road. She was asking about.
Oh,
Or
Like
expansions, if you
well-
have that planned?
the original Legacy of Duelist came out for Xbox One and PS4, which actually had DLC. This one has all of them included
Oh, okay.
right from the get-go. So
Awesome.
you don't have to add any additional DLC. At
So
least
you just get everything in one complete package.
everything in the plus more. So before we only had part of the latest season,
Okay.
but then the anime has been going on since then. So we included more and more of that as well.
Now, will the anime or the game be featuring English and Japanese voiceover, or will it just be Japanese with subtitles? Or the dual
It'll
options?
be subtitles, and it's in English, French, Italian, German, Spanish, and this time in Japanese.
Awesome. Okay. I know a lot of people are more familiar with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime dub, so that was just something I was curious about because that's something I grew up with as well. We were just having this conversation about anime dubs earlier in our Shack chat.
Right.
You mentioned it's gonna have online multiplayer. What kind of modes can people expect to play with?
Okay, well, I'll take this one. In addition to the aforementioned battle pack, you can take your deck and you have ranked multiplayer and you can play against your friends. But since this time it's worldwide, US, Europe, and Japan, if you're #1 ranked in Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution, you're ranked in the world.
Nice.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
No pressure.
No pressure whatsoever. So the one thing I did want to touch upon is the amount of cards in this game. As you mentioned, there's a sheer number of cards from over 9,000 unique cards from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. So with that, there's a huge slew of strategies that are involved, which kind of ties into the actual mechanic. So for those of you who have played, regular Yu-Gi-Oh, you actually have a board that you're familiar with. But with the latest mechanic, it changes the entire strategy with the introduction of Link monsters.
Yeah. So yeah, we have the latest Link monsters, Link summoning, but we have all the previous ones. And mentioned before, don't worry if you're intimidated. We have tutorials throughout.
What is a Link monster? What is the Link monster?
Oh, Link monster. So it's this new monster. It has a blue border and has arrows pointing at different zones. So and they give different abilities. If you and our hero's main monster, Decode Talker, whenever it points to another monster, it gains 500 attack points. So it has 3 arrows, and if you have 3 monsters in those areas, it will have additional 1,500 attack.
Okay.
And these are the types of cards that these Link monsters have. Each one has something different every time it points to a different monster. So it's a very unique mechanic. It uses positioning for the first time.
Okay.
But once again, don't worry about it. We go through all of
It
that.
can seem intimidating, but don't feel scared at all,
Don't worry.
basically. Now, is there going to be a story mode that people can play through, or is there just a regular quick play
Yeah.
mode? How many modes will there be?
The story mode, once again, 20 years of story mode.
There's a lot to
which
get through.
It's over. You're averaging about 30 episodes per duel, so per episode. I mean show. So you're going through all of the series, and you could play as the opponent as well. You could actually,
okay.
Oh, really?
yeah. So
Wow.
you could face the protagonist if you want as well.
So I don't know if you've ever seen the original Yu-Gi-Oh. So you have instances where you have Yugi go against Kaiba and that pinnacle moment where he summons Exodia versus Kaiba. You can actually reverse that duel and play as Kaiba, so you
okay.
kind of see that duel from his perspective.
That's a fun way to spin it.
That's
You know,
really
show people from
interesting.
the other perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you have a release date for the game just yet that you can share?
The game will be out on August 20th of this year.
And that's a Switch
what's the super
exclusive.
cool thing is the physical edition comes with 3 physical trading card game legal cards.
Very cool.
As well as we also have the digital version available for pre-order now on the Nintendo eShop.
All right. Well, I think that is just about a time for us today. Thank you so much for coming by and sharing all
Thanks
the
for having
Yu-Gi-Oh!
us.
News.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
And we will have plenty more awesome content coming your way. Be sure to keep it locked on the Shack News E3 2019 live stream brought to you by HyperX, and we'll see you soon.
I'm a doer and a go-getter. My inner savage comes out a lot through gaming. Blazing with energy and fierceness, willing to do whatever it takes. There really is an inner savage in each of us. Powered by Intel Core i7 processors.
We've all been there. Make or break. Sometimes we break. Some stay broken. Not you. Because you don't break. You just haven't made it. Yet.
Welcome back to the Shack News E3 2019 live stream brought to you by HyperX. I'm Brittany Vincent, the Shack News Senior Editor, again, coming to you with another awesome segment. Today, we're going to be looking for Forza Horizon 4's new DLC LEGO Speed Champions. We've actually got a quick trailer for you guys to check out if you missed the news, so we'll take a look at that now.
Save on new game content with Xbox Game Pass.
I don't know about you, but if you're here on the show floor at E3 2019, everything is indeed awesome. That was my favorite part of the trailer. And we are joined here today by our friend from Playground Games. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank
I'm
you.
Torb Nillett, game designer at Playground Games, working on, among other things, that great LEGO expansion.
And what can you tell us about this very colorful, very cute, very crazy Lego-fied expansion?
Wow. Where to start? So I've had the really great opportunity to see a bunch of people playing it for the first time at the Microsoft Theatre here at E3, and people walk away from it just grinning from ear to ear. And that's great because it's something that Forza Horizon has always been about. Just exuberant fun and freedom and a beautiful world and beautiful cars. And LEGO just allowed us to take that really to kind of its ultimate expression of gorgeous, fantastical, crazy fun.
And what was your favorite part of putting together these Lego vehicles for people to work with?
Again, so many answers I could give to that question. It would be things like looking at the way we used our subsurface scattering tech to give this sense of plastic and the way light passes through plastic. Stuff that was developed for real hard-bodied cars, but when something's made out of plastic, you can actually use that tech in an entirely new way. Also things like how we worked to develop new wheel arc pieces for LEGO to support the fact that while on a Speed Champions car, the wheels are just a piece that you clutch into place. But in our game, wheels have suspension, and they move and they turn when you jump off things and when you turn into corners. So we actually needed to design a new Lego piece that would accommodate wheels that turn. And we approached that like Lego would, which is design a new piece that will do the thing that you need to do. It was fun in like that really geeky way that you get to do when you're a game designer.
Wow, it sounds like you put a lot of work and thought into this. It wasn't just a reskinning or anything like that, like people might
absolutely not. It builds on top of the game's physics engine. So all of the cars drive and function like real cars with Lego parts on them. So our cars have a collision model. When you hit something, your car takes a bit of damage. It will get scratches, headlights will crack, that kind of thing. But when a Lego car hits things, pieces come off it because it's Lego. Anyone who's played with Lego knows if you drop it, a bit comes off.
So you're talking about the cars. You know, one of the biggest draws of the Forza franchise is just how realistic you guys have gotten with your vehicles and their performance and how they move and how they maneuver. So for there to now be Lego vehicles, how did that kind of transfer over with the team at Playground when designing those vehicles and designing how a Lego car makes a sharp turn and how a Lego car accelerates, you know, from 0 to 60? What was that like?
So, a lot of fun. I think the core thing is that we're designing we're working with the Lego Speed Champions brand, and those are based on real world cars, specifically the McLaren Senna, the Ferrari F40 Competizione, and the Mini S Rally. And those are real cars that are already in our game. So we were able to take the actual car and then build a Lego version and then tweak its performance so that it was comparable to the real version. So if you drive the Lego McLaren Senna, the Speed Champions one, and the real one, they're the same.
Gotcha. And it looked like there were some Lego courses as well. Can you talk about kind of designing a Lego course and how like cars will interact with the courses as compared to the real life?
Okay.
race course?
So as we saw in the announced trailer, you see cars going through hedges and fences and smashing stuff. So a world that's full of stuff to smash has always been part of Horizon.
Yes.
But now just a whole bunch of it is made of Lego. And that really allowed us to also build things like the speed ramps. So we've had what we call danger signs that are like stunt jumps you do and get stars on. But because we were working with Lego, we could make a ramp that was mechanical that would accelerate your car when you go off it. And we built that out of Lego using something called the Digital Designer, which is a tool that Lego use when they design new kits. So we sit down in that and we say, okay, we need a ramp, and the ramp needs some moving parts, so when a car goes onto it, it'll get accelerated off. And then you build it out of the pieces that could do that.
Gotcha. One of the most fun things to do in a Forza game, like such as Forza Horizon 4, is customize your car. I mean, I could sit in a garage for an hour just doing different decals, spray painting, moving parts around, without ever getting in the car and actually driving it anywhere. So what's that going to be like with Lego vehicles? Will there be a level of customization there? Will players be able to move parts around and swap blocks and colors and such?
Okay. So because we're working with the Lego Speed Champions brand, we work really hard to stay true to the kit. So if the kit comes with options, like options to change pieces on it, like the F40 Competizione does, it has a street spec and a race spec. And there are different parts in the box that allow you to build it one way or build it the other way. So we include those options so you can change the way it looks. That is on top of the ability to tune and upgrade the car itself to absolutely perfect the way that it drives. If you want to take an 80s supercar and make it into a rally car, you can do that.
Yeah.
And you can do it with the Lego one as well. You can also paint them, though what we did was we worked with Lego to identify the specific Lego brick colors that you can use. So you can essentially rebuild your red F40 as a yellow one or a blue one, but they would be the Lego yellow and the Lego blue. You can also still put liveries on them, and the way we did that was by kind of a virtual sticker system. So anyone who's built a Lego set knows that you get like a sheet of stickers that you can put onto your Lego pieces. That's how it works, right? You get a little sticker in the middle of a block that your paint goes onto.
That's pretty neat. Will we be seeing or hearing any of that catchy Lego movie music in game? Will that be
I
coming?
can only hope so.
I can share with you that there is a new radio channel coming to the game. It's called Awesome Radio, and it is everything is awesome all the time.
And repeat. That's great. That might be my favorite part of the announcement. Everything is awesome.
Yes, we really wanted it, and it was just fantastic to get it, and it takes it to that next level and ties into the whole universe of great Lego products.
Yeah, that's a staple in the Lego brand now. It really is, yeah.
How many additional Lego vehicles will there be, or will they just be versions of existing cars in the game?
So again, because it's specifically the Lego Speed Champions, there are 3 Lego Speed Champions in the game. Sharp-eyed players will have noticed there's also a barn find, and we're not ready to talk about that yet. But I mean, our focus is on the Lego Speed Champions brand, which are specific Lego builds of real-world cars.
Okay, cool. So when can we expect to play this? This is out this coming week, correct?
I'm just thinking because I'm jet lagged. Today is Wednesday, so tomorrow, Thursday.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think it's
Awesome.
tomorrow. The trailer said June 13th, so
Yes,
it'll
exactly.
be available tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is it available on the floor to play?
It is over in the Microsoft Theater. We have 4 parts and the craziest sledge that you could sit in and drive it. So if anyone who wants to experience it on a giant screen on a sledge that moves as you drive the car, drop by the Microsoft
That's
Theater
the
and try it
best
out.
way to experience it.
Yes, but it's really different, right? And it's a really eye-opening experience because when you play it on a controller, you're used to interacting with a car in a very specific way, but when you sit down in a sledge and use pedals and a wheel, it plays very differently, and you need to kind of think, I'm not playing a game, I'm driving a car, even though it's made of Lego.
Right. Well, if you guys want to play that, make sure you head over to the Microsoft Theater if you're here. Otherwise, be sure to check that trailer out again because everything is definitely still awesome here. And we thank you so very much for spending time with us today and letting us know a little bit more
Thanks
about
for
what to
having me.
expect. And please make sure to stay tuned for our upcoming Catherine full body stream, which I'm on the edge of my seat about. Thank you so much and stay tuned.
It's like I have a work me and a normal me. I feel like an inner savage can really come out when you're gaming. You can be the person that you truly are. Your inner savage is always with you. Powered by Intel Core i7 processors.
We've all been there. Make or break. Sometimes we break. Some stay broken. Not you. Because you don't break. You just haven't made it. Yet.
Welcome back to the Shack News E3 2019 live stream brought to you by HyperX. We are joining you once again at the E3 Esports Zone 2019 brought to you by Subnation. And today I am joined by Jonathan Stebble from Sega. We are going to be looking at a trailer for Catherine Full Body.
Pardon, but I have some important news. We have a special guest who will be joining us tonight. Are you ready for this? He's actually a phantom thief. I wonder what we can expect of this phantom thief fellow.
Look over there, at the bottom. It's Joker.
We had a little technical difficulty
Yeah,
there.
we're having a little technical difficulties.
I think
technical difficulties. That was an
something might
old
have
trailer.
rolled. It was an old trailer rolled. Wasn't supposed to roll. A little mix up there.
Yeah.
We're just gonna jump right into the interview.
So sorry about that. Anyway,
Tell-
Catherine Full Body.
Tell us a
Very
little-
excited to play. tell us about everything that's new with the game, what fans of the old game can expect, and newcomers as well.
So Catherine Full Body, if you've played the original Catherine, which came out about 8 years ago, is more than just a remaster of the game. It actually adds a lot of new content. So there's a brand new love interest for Vincent, Rin, a mysterious new girl that he meets who has amnesia. He gets her a job at the Stray Sheep as a pianist, and the story just kind of goes from there. The two develop a relationship, and it really adds a lot of extra body to the story. Catherine Full Body. There's a lot of quality of life improvements for the game as well. Some of the stages have been made a little bit more sensible for players who aren't necessarily the best at the puzzle elements. And if you want to just enjoy the story, then you can just set the game to easy or safety difficulty, and there's an autoplay feature that'll just take you through the game. You don't have to move a finger. So yeah, that's a great thing for players who just love the story. There's 13 endings in this game, so it's really great for players who just love getting deep into the narrative.
Yeah, I know that when I played the original game, I often found myself very frustrated when I couldn't pass some of the boss stages, and that would keep me from seeing the story unfold, so I'd have to come back to it at a later date. Then magically I would be able to pass it. But I understand that kept a lot of players from wanting to continue, so that's great that that mode has been added. So as far as the new story scenario, what kind of person is Rin? Can you share that with us? Just in general?
Just what kind of person Rin is?
Yeah.
Oh, Rin's adorable. I love Rin as a character. In the original game, K. Catherine is really stable, and she's very supportive of Vincent in most cases. C. Catherine's really fun and free, but Rin is just kind of comforting. Rin's just an adorable character. She doesn't really understand most of like modern society. She's not great at playing the piano, so it's kind of funny when she starts out a pianist in the bar. But yeah, she's a much more innocent character who's just there to be friends with everyone.
So she's kind of like a middle of the road when compared to Catherine with a C or Catherine with a K.
Yeah.
Cool. So as far as the original voice cast, it seems that they're returning again to reprise their roles. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that was a huge undertaking from our production team. We always want to make sure that we can respect our original voice actors who play roles in previous versions of games as much as we possibly can. And so for Catherine Full Body, we've brought back the entire English voice cast. That includes Troy Baker as Vincent, Laura Bailey as C. Catherine, Michelle Ruff as K. Catherine, Brandon Knickerbocker is coming in as Rin, new voice actor for the game, but there's not a single individual, to my knowledge, who's been left out of the original cast coming back to Catherine Full Body. And they did their best to match their new lines to their original lines, and to me it seems like it's actually pretty seamless.
So were the original lines re-recorded for this new release?
No, they were kept the same. The original voice lines are still in the game,
Okay.
and then the new ones are recorded to take the place in the new cutscenes.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. So as far as the new game mode, I understand there's a new remix mode. Is that correct?
Yeah, the remix mode is really cool. So at the start of the game, you'll get an option between playing on original or remix. Original, you'll be pulling out individual blocks like you do in the original game, but in remix mode, they get replaced with these giant chunks of blocks. So rather than pulling out individual blocks, you're pulling out these big chunks, and there's more of just individual solutions to puzzles rather than using these techniques to work your way up slowly. You can change between remix mode and original mode at any time during the game, and then you can also change difficulty. So if you start out on easy and learn that you're getting better at the game, you can just go ahead and move it up to medium or hard, or move it down if you're having trouble with the game.
That's actually very useful.
Yeah.
Sometimes I got a little ahead of myself, thinking, well, this is a little too easy for me, so I'm going to go ahead and bump it up a little bit. Well, that was a mistake.
Oh yeah, Catherine is a pretty unforgiving game.
It is extremely unforgiving, especially when a giant boss is coming up at you from the bottom of the screen, and you're basically screwed as you dash left and right.
Yeah.
So what were some of fans' favorite features from the original game that you wanted to make sure that you kind of expanded on in this one?
So we definitely didn't take away anything from the original game coming into Full Body. Everything was just done with the idea that we are making things better. So there's a lot of quality of life improvements. You'll see in the gameplay going on right now, if you're hanging on a ledge, you'll see this outline that shows where you can crawl to. Crawling around on the sides of the puzzle is something that a lot of players didn't really master in the first one, but it's actually very important for working your way up the tower. There's also things like there's additional music in the jukebox in the bar, there's additional conversations in the bar, and multiplayer has been buffed up quite a bit to give players a lot more stages and options for playing with their friends.
Now, we used to get quite a few cell phone conversations and photos from both Catherines. Well, mostly Catherine with the C in my playthrough. Will Rin be sharing in those festivities as well?
Yeah, Rin sends over. Rin gets Vincent's phone number pretty early on in the game, and so she'll text him and send some photos over, and it's really just charming.
So how much new content overall would you say has been added to the game?
Man, that's hard to quantify, but I would say like probably 50%. The remix mode adds a lot of new flavor for players who have played through the original one and just totally mastered it. The Rapunzel minigame in the bar has been buffed up. There's about 128 stages for that.
Wow.
And there's also remix mode and original mode for Super Rapunzel as well. And then the whole new storyline with Rin is actually pretty extensive. It's going to take some work for players to find out how to get to Rin's story, but it really pays off in the end.
Now, where in the story exactly do we branch off with Rin, or is that just an optional thing? Like, is it naturally a story progression, or is that something that players are going to have to seek out?
For finding Rin's story? Oh, it's something that Rin is introduced to the story pretty naturally.
Okay.
It's not just interactions with Vincent that she has. She interacts with the other patrons in the bar. And it does take a little bit of work to actually understand how to get deeper into her story. But it's not so convoluted that players won't be able to figure it out with a little bit of effort.
Gotcha. And one of my favorite features from the original game was the kind of crowdfunding questions, where, not crowdfunding, crowdsourcing questions,
Yeah.
where they would ask you, have you ever cheated on someone, et cetera, things like that. I really liked seeing what people had to say about that, and sometimes it made me feel like a terrible person when I answered the wrong way. The game kind of made me feel like I was doing the right or the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Are we still going to see those in the game and maybe expanded, since we have better online functionality than we did back when the game came out?
Yeah, those questions are back, and there's some new questions as well. So you'll find some of the old ones, like the first one, which I think most people remember if they've played the original, was, does life begin or end with marriage?
I remember that.
Yeah. And you working in these backroom demos, seeing what people are choosing really kind of gives you insight into their lives. And it's fun to answer them honestly. And you really try to get self-introspective with it. The online functionality is still there. You're still going to see survey responses from people, how they answer. Usually you're going to see a lot more people saying life begins with marriage, because I think some people may be a little afraid of what they actually think.
They think it's going to be shit.
Yeah. I'm married. I believe that life begins with marriage. But yeah, there's really interesting ones that really make you think hard about how you actually value your life.
Yeah, that was part of my favorite segment, just wondering what other people had shared when I saw the percentages come up, and I was just like, well, didn't know I was in the minority there.
Yeah, they're usually pretty heavily weighted one way or the other.
As far as the multiplayer goes, is that going to be just online match, or is there any local multiplayer?
Yeah, there's both online and local multiplayer. Online is new for this game, and there's also character selection. So if you have a favorite character from the story, chances are you're going to be able to play as them in multiplayer with your friends. There's some new items there too. There's a remix stage for multiplayer. So a lot of new options for people just to really get into it with their friends.
Any customization options for the characters in multiplayer? Like if I wanted to play as Vincent in his boxers, or can I play with him in his regular outfit?
Yeah, there's a lot of, well, I guess there's two outfits for Vincent that I've seen so far. There's one of him in his nightmare outfit and his boxers, and there's one of him just in his day clothes, like what you see with him wearing in the bar right now.
Cool. Yeah, there are a lot of RPG elements to the game that people don't really think about. Like, you have to make important decisions throughout your day where you're going to spend time and things like that. What do you think the hook is for Catherine, for people that may not be puzzle gamers so much, but they're interested in the art style and the story and the characters? What do you think the hook is there? Because a lot of people that I have turned on to the game don't realize it's a puzzler.
Right.
How would you, what do you think makes people interested in this game?
That's an interesting question, because I don't really feel like there are many games out there that emulate what Catherine does.
Yeah.
It is definitely a puzzle game, and definitely like a puzzle action game, but at its core, it plays more like a visual novel. And it really makes you fall in love with these characters and get invested with their backgrounds, their stories. One great thing that Full Body does is it actually goes back, and there's a lot of flashback cutscenes which show how Vincent and Catherine's relationship developed during high school and shortly after high school. Which is something you didn't get in the original game. I would say the hook is really just, if you like character dramas and you like just innovative puzzle games, then you're going to love Catherine Full Body. And if you're not great with puzzles, there's autoplay and you can just skip all of that.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people, like I said earlier, was a barrier because it just seems so daunting to climb up the blocks. And a
Yeah.
lot of people see that and they think Tetris. This isn't Tetris.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, it is such a story-driven game. We didn't see a reason to really gate people off of the content that they may be interested in over such a difficult puzzle section. It shouldn't be taken lightly. It is really hard.
It can be extremely hard. I know I almost broke a controller once because I was right at the end and I just could not crack it. I just kept falling to my death and it was very frustrating.
Yeah, it is rough.
I do have some information about Catherine and Vincent meeting in high school. So I think that's an interesting addition. I'd always felt that I didn't really know a lot about her. I didn't really understand her more harsh tone that she had.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how much content is there about giving us more of Catherine's backstory to kind of color her personality?
So this is C. Catherine or K. Catherine?
K. Catherine.
K. Catherine. So yeah, K. Catherine is a much more three-dimensional character than I had assumed after seeing these flashback cutscenes. I don't want to spoil too much, but one of the first ones that you see is just her and Vincent getting together for the first time and just actually confessing their feelings for each other. And she is really uptight, but she also has some insecurities that she works with, even as such a strong, intelligent woman. And learning that and just kind of seeing how she and Vincent fell in love with each other in the first place really is kind of heartwarming. And you get to learn about a lot of other characters this way too, as their lives in high school kind of color how they actually act in modern day.
Right, and that's something I think will add some more dimension to Catherine because, admittedly, I thought about her as just kind of an annoyance in the way, even though wasn't the best. I didn't agree with what he was doing, but I also didn't like her. Now that I can understand where she's coming from, I think that might change more people's minds about her in general and kind of sway their opinion. Well, with that said, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Which Catherine is for you?
Oh man. So 8 years ago, when I played the original Catherine, it was definitely K. Catherine. C. Catherine, I was just like, she is too high energy. I cannot deal with that. I still feel the same way. But honestly, Rin just being as casual and as innocent as she is, I would say probably Rin.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a bold choice. I can't wait to meet Rin and see what she has in store
She's
for us.
fantastic.
Now, when is Catherine Full Body coming out? And on what platforms?
Oh yeah, Catherine Full Body is coming out September 3rd.
September 3rd. Not
Yeah.
too much longer.
Not much longer.
That's a packed fall. September and November already.
Oh yeah.
So that's on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One?
It's for PlayStation 4.
Okay. Any Switch plans?
PlayStation 4.
Okay, PlayStation 4. All right, well, I think that's just about enough time for today. Thank you so much for coming by and talking to us about Catherine. And everyone else, please make sure to stay tuned to the Shack News E3 2019 live stream brought to you by HyperX, and we'll see you soon.
To the untrained eye, you look like everyone else. But you have another side. Embrace it with a machine that's worthy of you. Stylish on the outside, savage on the inside. Legion by Lenovo, powered by Intel Core i7 processors.
We've all been there. Make or break. Sometimes we break. Some stay broken. Not you. Because you don't break. You just haven't made it. Yet.
moment?
Well, it seemed like we were struggling a bit, so we needed a backup. So it was, in my head, the best choice was to just pick them up and get as much help as we can. So that's why I chose to get them.
You did it, and you guys defeated the boss. Nice job. See you in the next round. All right, that was dramatic. My goodness. I guess there's a flair to playing with really low health, but we probably would have liked to see more health packs placed down.
Yeah.
And there is health that spawns on the map, correct?
Correct. Yeah, but you see, this match was interesting because there you can see the logic of what I was saying before about competition and cooperation. So, for example, that Cosmo could have said, you know what, I'm going to go for the boss on my own, and I'm going to forget about my teammates, and if I succeed, I get the most points. But at the same time, that's very risky.
Yeah. Because it's still a very powerful boss.
Yeah.
That you're not necessarily meant to 1v1.
Yeah.
So you almost need your teammates to help you out.
They're done
Oh,
already?
it looks like this one just ended over here. Let's see how that unfolded. Wow, these guys must be pros.
They're done already.
Let's see who did the most damage. They were able to take down that boss. Now we're getting some intel as these players have been able to watch the games that have happened before. So they're able to kind of put together the strategy a little bit more. It looks like we have, I think Cosmo was chosen twice, and once again, Cosmo with the most points. So, hey man, good job. First of all, what's your name and where are you from?
My name is Duncan. I go by Ponecast, Twitch streamer.
Woo! Nice. Throw me your Twitch link real quick.
It's just Ponecast, PWNEDCAST on Twitch. That's basically it.
There you go. What games do you mostly stream?
So I usually do stuff for like Behavior and Dead by Daylight. Death Garden that recently came out, but I was a huge avid fan of Diablo from like the first, the second, to the build to the third. And like to play this game was just a natural skin where I was like, all right, start moving in. Let's get the skills. Let's try to push through it. And a lot of the people on the other side were very helpful. Like we kind of had a flow to where it was like actually nice, but it didn't feel like that grindy part when you play through it. It felt like that move, like nice transition, and it feels like instead of having to dedicate a huge amounts of hours trying to get through one level, you were just able to pass through it. But I know this is a quicker build, but it felt nice. It didn't feel so wacky and like clunky at times because, as you know, like sometimes it's always different for games, like when they work through it. But it's really good. I really like it a lot.
That's awesome. Thanks for talking to me about that. And as far as achieving total victory there, were you surprised you got the most damage, or did your strategy evolve as it went through, as you're kind of figuring out everything your character could do?
I just basically went through all the stats, looking through it when everybody kept selecting to read what their abilities. I was using a lot of the pull for the aggro, so that way when I kept moving through groups, I was able to keep slamming down and just stacking the damage to go through it. That's why, because like when I saw one going towards another group, I was like, no, I'll take this group. And then I kept backtracking. So like when we pushed to the level, I was still behind because I was just trying to clear everything we went along.
Nice. Can we expect you to pick this game up and maybe stream it a little later?
Oh, definitely. I'd love to talk about that because this game's fun. I really like this. I do a lot of community stuff with my community, and this is something that I would love to them, play and actually enjoy a lot.
That's a really good point. Good job, man. See you the next round. Yeah, I want to.
By the way, one thing I wanted to mention to you guys is that, of course, here we have a trimmed-down version because we want to do a tournament. But if you want to play our full E3 build, which is an adventure that will take about 15 to 20 minutes to complete, please come by the Indicate booth. We have it there. So there you can play the whole thing with progression and with level ups. So it's a more complete experience. Here we're basically going to the main act, which is the boss battle, so that we can show it on the big screen.
So a fuller experience will be available at the booth.
That is correct.
All right.
That is correct.
Check that out for sure. And I love how he was mentioning, a lot of streamers, they're kind of looking for ways to engage with their community a little bit more. And what Ponecast just mentioned there is just a great point where what a great opportunity for a streamer to now pull in like 3 of their viewers and kind of team up.
Of course. That's one thing that we really feel passionate about, which is being a group game, a party-based game. Basically, it yields itself really well to streaming because you're going to be seeing there, as you're seeing here today, all the social mechanics going on. Oh, I'm assisting this guy, or maybe I hate this guy, so I'm going to ignore him. So you're going to see all that going on during the streaming session. So we think that's going to make it really fun.
And of course, we're seeing teams of 4. Would we see more than that in the future? Or can you lend some...
That's an interesting one. I mean, the thing about E3 is that for a developer of our size and our basically history, it gives us an opportunity to get an idea of what people desire and what people want. So in other words, if people request that, why not do it? You know?
Yeah.
And so we have a list of things that we would like to do in the future. And one of the things I'm really looking forward to is when we're done with this tournament, to talk to the guys and say, hey, what would you add to the game? What would you change to the game? You know, I'm already seeing patterns here that I'm interested in exploring into the future.
Yeah, so you guys playing the game or watching, if you have any questions, talk to Danny.
Oh, yeah.
He's here to talk to you guys, have some discussion.
Yeah.
To talk about the game, and then honestly,
Yeah, check
whatever
it out.
you think might improve the game.
The interesting thing about indies is that you're not talking with a marketing spokesperson.
Yep.
You're talking with the devs. So we are the team. I was the lead designer on this title, you know. So of course, for me to get your insight, your info is super valuable. So thank you for that.
That's awesome, and yeah, I guess a quick thing for me, I do wonder about that. It's teams of 4, and that's pretty much the core of the game.
Yep.
But you have the ability to team up with 2 or
Oh, yeah,
just
of course,
on your
of course.
own.
Yeah, of course. The thing about these games is that many times you want to play solo just because you want to train with your character.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like a training mode. So, for example, maybe I'm going to be playing a character I never use. So, for example, I've never used Cass, which is the witch. You know, so maybe I want to play with Cass, but because I don't want to play badly, I'm going to play on my own. I'm going to play solo for a few rounds to get up to speed on how to play the character. Of course, I can play with just one friend. So it's up to 4 players. So the game is more fun when you play with 4 players, but you can play with as many as you want, up to 4.
Okay. Because thinking about that a little bit, like what if there's like an insane contract out there with an insane boss?
Yeah.
You need to have a decked out squad.
Of course, of course.
Like I wonder, would you ever have more than 4 in the map at once if it's that difficult of a boss or something like that, right?
I mean, not really. I mean, the way this works is that within Kill Squad, we have a lore construct, which is what we call the vector. The vector is how powerful is your guy. And then the idea is that the contracts require a certain vector. So what's going to happen is that in some contracts, you're going to go like, okay, I need 4 people because if I don't go with 4, it's impossible to beat this thing. You know, the chances of me actually surviving are basically 0. You know, so again, we're going to provide different experience so that people get different gameplay moments from playing solo to playing full on with 4 players, different types of missions. You know, so and the game is going to evolve with the community. So this is a game we're putting on early access next month, and then from there, of course, we're going to gather all the feedback from you guys, from the players, to make it better through months and months of work.
So let's say you become amazing at this game. I want to talk about. This might not be the best description, but like end game type scenario where it's like, okay, you've played this game, you're a seasoned veteran. What does the game become at that point?
Okay.
When you're like all your stats are good, you got the highest levels.
Of course.
What does the
of
game
course.
kind of turn into?
Okay, so the idea is that basically in the world of Kill Squad, we have a lot of contracts that are designed as endgame. You know, so they're the kind of contracts you play as a pro player, which allow you to keep on exploring your character, keep on improving it, and of course, being a live game, what we're going to do is we're going to be putting out new content constantly. So we're going to do a kind of like a season structure, so that maybe you're very good at this season with this meta, but then maybe we put out a new planet and we change the rules, and so you're back to stage 1, and you need to relearn the game again because we've changed some of the rules to make it engaging again, even for pro players.
Wow, fascinating. I love that. That's awesome. What about, I guess, either a leaderboard, like a global leaderboard of players, or a ranking system?
Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, when we designed Kill Squad, we thought, Kill Squad, in essence, is a bounty hunter meeting place. So if you have a bounty hunter meeting place, you would have some sort of like a wooden board. It would be dirty, and maybe you would have there the names of the best bounty hunters. So yeah, leaderboards are coming.
Yes.
That's something that a lot of people are asking for. So of course we're going to have leaderboards so that you can see how well do you rank up versus the rest of the world.
Okay, look out for Axel Toss. Top of those leaderboards. That's my handle.
We're going to see a new match starting right now.
All right, here we go. Jumping into the next match, ladies and gents. You're watching Kill Squad, an indie game here that we are showing off on the E3 in the E3 Esports zone. Very happy to be joined by Danny Sanchez from Novarama, coming all the way over from Barcelona.
Oh yeah.
A veteran in the video game industry.
Oh yeah.
Experience at Sony and building lots of games and worlds for us
Yeah.
gamers. So thank you for being here and doing all that you do. And again,
guess
I do want to emphasize, if anyone has any questions whatsoever, ask Danny. Are there any other devs from Novorama here?
Oh yeah. There's a whole bunch of us.
Yeah,
So,
look.
So you can come by the Indicate booth, and we'll be there answering your questions and showing you the game in depth.
Perfect. So here we go into.
All right. Hey there, everybody. It's Shaq News here at E3 2019, brought to you by HyperX. We're here at the E3 Esports Zone, brought to you by Subnation, and I am here with the one and only Megaran. Megaran, how are you doing today?
Oh my gosh, I'm amazing. Thanks for having me, Blake, first of all. This is great. E3's dope.
Oh, man, yeah. So for folks that don't know who you are a nerdcore rapper.
I am. I'm a former teacher turned nerd rapper. Yeah, it sounds strange, but I really loved education, and I found a way to somehow mix that with my love for hip hop and video games, and I've had a wild ride ever since.
Exactly. Yeah, we've known each other for a while, and you
Long time. I've slept on your floor, dude.
You did. Oh my gosh. Precious memories.
Memories.
Man, but now every time I turn around, you're doing something new. You're off on some grand adventure. You just wrapped up a pretty big tour, right?
Yeah, 2 in a row. We did the UK with MC Lars and Cuckoo Kangaroo. Yeah, I'm getting them all mixed up now. And then after that, we did a big US run. MC Lars, MC Frontalot, Schaefer the Dark Lord. Basically like the Mount Rushmore of nerdcore rap.
Yeah.
And really proud to help put that together. And after that, Lars and I put out an album, which just came out this past Friday, called the Dewey Decibel System.
Now, does that have anything to do with library catalogs?
Not at all.
Not at all.
No, it actually does. Yeah, it's all about our favorite books, short stories, poems, graphic novels even. And we had a fan suggest that title. And I thought, okay, Dewey Decibel. It works.
Yeah.
So
there's, and I think Dewey Decibel is an underused phrase in rap.
Totally.
Yeah, because it works. It works.
Very
Dewey Decibel,
underused.
It rhymes with so many things.
I just found out that there's a rapper named Dewey Decibel. And I was like, that's a great name. I wish I had known that.
Is it like decibel, like sound decibel?
Like sound decibel.
Brilliant.
I mean, it's so brilliant. So shout out to him. I've never met him, but I listened to his music, and I was like, that's a great name, and I wish I would have thought of that.
Man, now, you are a hardcore gamer. You have a few albums dedicated not only to Mega Man, but Final Fantasy, a few other games as well. We just had a big Final Fantasy announcement here. We already knew the game was coming, but we got a new look at Final Fantasy VII Remake. I want to know what you thought. I want to know your feelings on it. Wow. Did you cry? Did you cry? Don't be. It's okay if you cried. If you shed a tear.
This is the first time in public I've talked about my feelings about this game. Yeah, I think I let a couple tears shed. I kind of feel it now, even thinking about it, man. This is something I never thought was possible. I didn't think this would happen. I just was like, oh, they're going to talk about it forever, and then something's going to happen that's not going to come out. So it's really amazing to think we're so close. And being able to see gameplay, man, it's got me excited. It still feels like a dream. You know, like I feel like I want to wake up and they're like, just kidding, 2040 is when it's coming out, you know?
Yeah, we decided to go back and just change everything. This isn't even the game. This is just like the pre-alpha.
Yeah, this is pre-alpha. That was just a little tech demo and it's not coming out.
But like, you know, your Black Material album, it's one of your most iconic albums. Are you planning anything new for the Final Fantasy VII Remake? Are you going to have anything coming up soon? Maybe for your Patreon subscribers?
Interesting that you should ask. I've also never talked about this publicly, but I will say I'm going to keep it pretty vague, but Black Material will return.
Nice.
Absolutely will return.
Nice.
There are some ideas I have. I don't know how even practical they are, but I have time. The game doesn't come out until, next March, so I have some time. So I'm thinking really hard on a way. So Black Material will return. Absolutely. You heard it here first.
All right.
Shaq News.
Shaq News exclusive. Fine. All right. But what you've been here at E3 for like a day now. What have you seen so far? What have you been digging outside of Final Fantasy?
Not much. Yeah, I walked in, saw the Final Fantasy Shinra bike, and had to get in line for that instantly.
That must have taken most of the day waiting in that line.
Yeah, that was half the day. After that, Cyberpunk went and got in that line. That was the other half of the day. But it was worth it. I sat and got to watch 25 minutes of gameplay. It was rad. That game looks awesome. And I'm really excited. I think, honestly, looking at that game, I feel like it's beyond this current gen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, wow, I really want to see it on the next gen consoles, but I can't wait. So I will be playing this immediately.
Yeah, that's absolutely going to be a launch title for the next gen.
Positive.
Like, absolutely. You need that extra power to make everybody swoon even harder over Keanu Reeves.
Absolutely.
Like that just sold the next gen console for like dozens of people that don't even like games. They just love Keanu.
No,
right?
Man. Keanu is a national treasure, and for him to make an appearance, I think that just took it over the top. Like we were already, I thought, at maximum hype levels for this game, for the next generation, and then over the top.
Nice. Now, obviously, Mega, your namesake comes from Mega Man. You have a very good relationship with Capcom. Have you had a chance to stop by Capcom and check out any of their stuff?
I did. The main thing over there is the Monster Hunter DLC, which looks really cool. They got a really great setup with the monster, the Valhalla or something like that, and it just looks amazing. This big ice dragon, super cool. So I'm looking forward to playing it. I really loved Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
So the fact that we get more, I think is awesome. The game looks great. So I'm probably going to head there when I'm done here.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a big Monster Hunter fan. Monster Hunter World really brought me into it. I could never really get like the game mechanics perfectly, but once Monster Hunter World came around, I was sort of taken under the wing of like some veteran friends, and it just opened up my world to this whole new experience that is Monster Hunter.
Yeah, it's such a great game. Being able to play with friends and team up, and it's a great game. I went back and played a 3DS version that I had for the longest time. I bought a used 3DS, and Monster Hunter was on the system, on the console, and I was like, oh, I'm never going to play this. And then after Monster Hunter World, I went back, and I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. So now I'm like really into the Monster Hunter universe.
Nice, man. Yeah, and it's free. It's going to be free.
Free? Can't be free. Is it?
I think it's free.
What?
Maybe
All right.
maybe it costs some money.
Don't
I hope
start
it's
rumors.
free.
I don't know.
I'll borrow some money from someone if I have to.
We'll find out.
I'll have my editor check on that.
I hope it's free. Free is great.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Well, maybe I'm speaking out of turn here.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, but so what's next for you, man? Like you're all over the place, just going nonstop. You just dropped the Dewey Decibel System.
Yeah, we just put out an album Friday, so I don't necessarily want to think too hard about next. I want to enjoy this. It's literally been 3 years in the making. We've been working on this album. We backed it on Kickstarter. Very gracious to all of our Kickstarter supporters who got the album early, and the rest of the world finally gets to get it. So I want to enjoy this. We shot 5 videos for it. We did a tour. We're probably going to do another tour at some point. We haven't really hit the West Coast. Conventions, of course, and just spreading the word of reading, I think, was just super important and overlooked in our society.
Yeah.
So I would love to become an advocate of sorts for literacy. Like, we need to read these classic books. And if these songs can hopefully get people back into those books, then that is a win-win.
Have you thought about doing a library tour or something like that?
Yes. Yeah, we're talking about that right now.
Oh, really? Like, so that might actually happen.
Oh, yeah. I don't think it's been done, like a music library tour. So I would love to do that.
Nice. And then, you also host a wrestling podcast, and you seem to show up I've seen you on WWE, and you've been doing stuff with Ring of Honor. Like, you're like I'm saying, nonstop.
Yeah, I don't really stop. It's been crazy because in my earliest career, I tried to like compartmentalize and separate all these different parts of me. Like, oh, here's the guy who likes hip hop. Here's the gamer side of me, the wrestling side, the reading and literature side, and education side. And now they're just all become one, which I think is cool. That's really what I've been trying to become comfortable with. And I think that they're all just running together, which I think is great because you can be everything. And I think that's the best message to send to kids, to adults. Like, you can be 10 things, just give them all of your love and your care. And you can love everything, so you don't have to necessarily fit in that box.
It all makes you who you are, right?
Yep.
It's not about just these little pieces of you. It's about the complete and total package. And speaking of the complete and total package, where can people go to pick up your music? Where can they support you? How can they find you?
Oh, that's easy. If you want music, you go to megaranmusic.com. If you want merch, you go to megaranmerch.com. Or if you want everything, you just go to megaran.com or find me on Twitter @Megaran. It looks like Meg Ryan because it's like squeezed together, but it's not. It's
There's
Mega
no Y in there.
Ran and there's no Y. So yeah, once a day I get somebody like, I thought that said Meg Ryan, and I'm like, no.
No. It is Megaran, and we can't thank you enough for stopping by today to chat with us. Talk about your music.
Thank you for having me, dude. This is awesome for you to share your amazing stage and platform with little old me, man.
Oh, man.
I still remember us hanging out in Oakland at Lake Merritt and all that fun stuff. Like, so yeah, I hope we can hang out some more, man.
I would love
know
to.
Everybody's lives are all crazy and busy, but
I'm up here just being a famous talky guy on the internet.
Look at you.
You're jet setting around the world rapping, but we'll make it happen.
We will make it happen. Absolutely.
All right, Blake and Megaran 2019 tour, Super BFFs.
It's coming.
All right. Stick around, guys. We got more for you. I'd like to thank Megaran once again, and please go to megaran.com and check out his tunes if you haven't already, because they are super fantastic. We'll be right back with more awesome Extreme to the Max coverage from here at E3 2019.
My days are very normal. I go to work. When I come home, my me time is dedicated to games. My inner savage is guiding force, a king even, ruling by example rather than just by decree. My inner savage is always with me. Powered by Intel Core i7 processors.
We've all been there. Make or break. Sometimes we break. Some stay broken. Not you. Because you don't break. You just haven't made it. Yet.
invisible.
Totally invisible, but
Oh,
can
yeah.
still receive damage.
Yeah, but the thing is, she can only be invisible for like 2 or 3 seconds.
Gotcha.
So basically, that invisibility is used to do a dodge, go in the middle of the fray, and then slam.
Okay.
Our third character would be Cosmo. For Cosmo, it's the meteor jump. Meteor jump is that attack you're seeing every
Yeah,
now
I
and
think I
then?
saw it.
Yeah,
Just a big
what-
jump, slam
yeah,
into the
he
ground.
jumps, and basically with your mouse, you can select where he's going to land. And so what you're going to do is you're going to jump from outside the fray, and then target the landing zone in the middle of the pool of enemies so that you inflict massive damage.
Cool, and I feel like that would work well with the ability to bring people in. So
That
you
is correct.
activate that, and then boom,
That
bring
is-
people in.
That is
and then-
correct.
all right,
That is
all
correct.
right,
That is
all
correct.
right.
Yeah, yeah. That's all the teamwork going on there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, and we just saw the boss taken out. That didn't seem so bad. Looks like Cass a little bit low in health, but otherwise a very good team
No,
effort.
she was good.
Let's go talk to our MVP. Was it? Okay, it was this side of the stage, I believe. Who did the best? We've got a mixer partner here. Look out. And we got a fancy jersey, UCLA Esports. UCLA Esports, look out. We got a lot of pros up here. Neurogum. This jersey I've been seeing everywhere. CSUN. I could have guessed that. Cal State University Northridge. Okay, our MVP. Oh yeah, we got fans in the crowd as well. Well, first of all, what do you think about that team versus your team? Who's better?
Oh, I mean, our team was unreal. Like, we were crazy. We went in there, we wiped up, we were done, you know?
And then UCLA especially. You guys have a good esports program, or how do you compare to the other California schools?
Look, all the other California schools are really great. I'm not going to talk trash on any other California schools, but I know that UCLA Esports is out there, and we're repping, and we're putting in the hours and the effort, you know?
That's awesome. Well, I assume you go there. Let me know your name.
My name is Stanley Cascone. I'm from Los Angeles.
He does go there. He could be an imposter, a spy. All right. Well, how did you feel about Kill Squad playing Cosmo here? Was this your first time running through it, and how did it feel playing the game?
Yeah, the game's really fluid. It really feels good with the PC controls. You know, I definitely like.
It is time for day 2 here at the E3 Esports Zone. I am your host, Alex Machine Richardson, and we are live from the sunny LA. It is one of the biggest gaming conferences and conventions of the year, and I get the honor of being a part of it now. As we jump into the Subnation stage, we've got so much. We are kind of encapsulating the gaming community and the culture and lifestyle of that and how it continues to develop. And I'm going to have a multitude of guests from around this space that is esports now, and it's more esports, it's more gaming, it's people that it has connected with. And if you can't hear me, I'm going to get nice and close to this microphone as I continue to tell you a little bit about what you may have missed yesterday, as well as what's coming up on today's show. So, I mean, to start the list, we had some fantastic chats with the likes of Solid Jake. He came in, of course, esports commentator and host, and we talked a little bit about the esports kind of the way it's developing and the fact that it's going in so many different directions and some huge directions. I mean, the Overwatch League was a big topic, and talking about that, of course, the VODs are available and all of the information of what's coming up, what's happened, and of course, being able to watch the VODs. You can do so on, let me get this right, subnation.com, nice and easy, and you'll be able to see some of those chats. Now, we also had some great guests. Julie Nathanson is one that stands out, of course, voice actress for over 80 games, and we talked a lot about what it means to do voiceover, how that works. So a lot of very newbie questions from me were thrown her way, and I got to learn a little bit about motion capture as well, which is a new facet of kind of the voice actor movement. They've been doing a lot more of mocap and combining that with the voice acting itself. Courtney Taylor, of course, as well, another voice actress I spoke to, and we talked a little bit about nerdsvote.com, which you'll be able to check out, of course, if you're interested, which is about coming to conventions and coming to esports and gaming places in pursuit of promoting and encouraging this rather underrepresented demographic to go out to the polls and to have their voice heard in a non-partisan movement as well. So that was really interesting. We had so many good chats yesterday, and more chats to come today as well. My goodness. Okay, we've got some very special guests who will be in attendance today. We have Kumail Nanjiani, of course, a star of Silicon Valley, The Big Sick, and of course Stuba, which is his movie that's coming out later this year. We're going to be talking about all of that. Gabriel Bateman, we're going to be seeing him. Chandler Riggs, crazy. So from Child's Play, Walking Dead, we're going to be kind of talking about their connection to gaming, and we can actually bring up the schedule so you can see everything that you have to look forward to today. Kim Rom of Explain is going to be our very first, and we're going to be talking a lot about, some fantastic esports history. So we start with a history lesson, Brave with Bernie and Jan afterwards, which is talking a little bit about a new way, two very different topics, but one of which is Brave, is a new way for gamers and creators on platforms like Twitch and YouTube to monetize their content. We'll be learning about that. Child's Play, I'm terrified of all horror movies, but hopefully I'll learn a little bit more with Gabriel later on at about 1 p.m. Gamer Guys is coming up as well. They're going to be talking about their podcast and so much more to look forward to as well. We're going to be seeing a little bit more from, I wanted to make sure I get this right, it's Chase and Evan, the Gamer Guys. They're talking about inclusion in gaming as well as their podcast. So that's everything that's coming up today. Definitely some fantastic stuff to check out if you missed it yesterday. But we're going to go ahead and take 5, catch our breath, and when we come back, I'm going to have my very first guest. So this is the Subnation stage, live from the E3 Esports stage, and we are going to be chatting to a whole wide spectrum of fantastic personalities in this space today.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. I am David Bloom. I am the host of Bloom and Tech Podcast, and I write people like Forbes. We're here at the E3 Esports Zone. I am with the pioneering esports god, Kim Ram, who is now with the cool PC gamer tech site Xplain to talk. He's going to explain about Xplain. So, Kim, let's start out. It's got to be interesting for you. You told me this is your 20th anniversary at E3. Do you remember those long ago days and what this place was like? Because this is, I think, here is where it was still going then. They had a couple of years in Atlanta. They said that was a bad idea. It came on back here. What was it like for you then, and what's it like now?
Well, I remember my first E3 was 1999, I believe. I remember going to the airport in Copenhagen. And I was like dead set on having to get new shoes before I arrived. So I stopped
Very
at
important.
at like a male dress thing, bought like nice suit shoes, and day one I was ready to kill myself.
Oh my God, you got suits like dress shoes for this place? I mean, you're like required to have your kicks, man, because you're not going to survive otherwise. I did 6.5 miles of walking yesterday and dragged my butt back here just to be with you, and you've gotten smart. Show them what you're wearing now.
Over the time, you get smarter, right?
You get a little smarter. We hope we grow with wisdom, right? So you had the wrong shoes the first day. It was gigantic then. It's gigantic now. Do you see anything different in terms of what kinds of games and things like that? The technology have changed so much, and you're the tech guy now.
Actually, I would say no. Like I would say the technology has reached a point where you have to use a lot less imagination to understand what's going on, right? Things are explained a lot more clearly than they were 20 years ago, where you had to, okay, that's a cowboy.
Right, it's really obvious what that thing is. Whatever it is, I can kind of guess what it, because it looks really good.
But it was still the same technology race. There was still, back then it would be graphics cards manufacturers and so on. They are less important today, but now it would be consoles or virtual reality. There's still always like a competition to present the entertainment in its best form.
Right. Now, you, back then and for years since then, have been very involved in the esports world. So talk a little bit. I know you were involved with ESL, but a lot of other sort of major organizations over the last 2 decades in the esports space. Tell me a little bit about where the esports business has gone. It feels to me like it's a 20-year overnight sensation.
Well, most successes are 10 years overnight successes, right?
Right.
I think in 2001 we were in Dallas at a CPL event that was the biggest thing of its time, and there were 17,000 people that were watching this thing, and we all sat there like, we're making history. This is amazing.
17,000 feels like a preliminary match, and I don't know, a new game that just popped out or something these days.
Oh, absolutely. But back then it felt like truly special. And today, when you walk away with less than 1 million concurrent from an event, you're like, oh God, what happened?
Okay, you're embarrassed, right? It's like, oh, you had a bad day. So now the numbers are huge. Does that change the game? Does it change the way the games get done? Does it change the kinds of games that get made?
So on June 19th, 1999, Counter-Strike was released in the first version, Beta 0.1.
Another 20-year anniversary.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what? For me, that was a defining moment in gaming culture, not just in esports. Esports was more or less born at that moment. Gaming became social. That was the first time where gamers would find each other online, almost like a dating service.
They could talk.
We have this thing in common.
Right.
Let's meet and get fucking and let's meet and get hammered.
Get hammered. Yes, you were about to use the Danish term, I think, for getting hammered. Thor's hammer or something, yes. I think. And so they were able to get together, they were able to connect, they were able to coordinate their raids and all that. But that allowed a whole bunch of different stuff and changed, as you say, the whole direction of gaming.
Yeah, it wasn't just a new game; it was a new way of being a player.
Right. And before we had consoles where you could play on the same screen, you had shared screens, but you weren't able to really connect with anybody anywhere else.
No, I was working in television at the time, and we had a wall where we would play Nintendo 64 GoldenEye against each other.
Right.
But the social experience was limited to whoever was in the room.
And whoever you were yelling at in the room,
yes,
right.
Updating in 8 FPS while you were trying to shoot someone in the throat.
Yeah, that's high quality there. Now, in the years since, you've been involved in these different organizations. Are you still directly involved in any esports stuff?
Absolutely, I've started my own, as we all tend to do at the end of the day.
Right.
No, I've been. I was the guy who built a peripheral company called SteelSeries. I ran marketing for 8 years.
Okay.
At one point in time, that company probably sponsored 50% of the world's top teams.
Wow.
So I had a chance to get to know a lot of athletes and travel with them and see them at tournaments and get ready for tournaments and so on. And
it's harder to do that now. There's so many more teams and so much more money chasing it. Nobody could do 50%.
No one could do that anymore. And maybe that's also a good thing,
Right, right. Spread it out a little bit. I mean, it's across the globe. Now, talk to me. Explain. First of all, spell explain so people can find it online because it's a little bit different spelling than the word explain.
XPLAYN. Explain.
Okay.
So Explain is a brand that I first launched it in 2001. It was probably the first profitable coverage website of esports in the world.
That, as a journalist, I can tell you that's remarkable to have somebody make money out of writing about anything. So.
And in 2001, I went from running one of the biggest gaming websites in Denmark that I had built over a period of 3 years to starting this website. And all my colleagues in this were like, wait. You're making a website about one game? What's wrong with you? How that doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
One game.
Well, you might be able to do it now with Fortnite, maybe. You got 250 million followers. There's so much going on. They're always changing things. Maybe you could do it with them, but it's sort of hard to think about anybody else you could do that with, right?
Well, yes and no. I think the difference was that back then, games were thought of like a thing you would buy it, you would play it for maybe 3 weeks, they would be done, you would beat the computer, right?
You'd play it through, it's like on to the next, and they wouldn't give you new content either.
Absolutely not. They didn't even have distribution methods to actually do that very well.
Right. How would you even get it there, right?
Yeah. And then in 1999, Counter-Strike popped up. I was running this gaming website. I started a Counter-Strike section. That Counter-Strike section, in about a year, grew bigger
than everything else.
Yes, than the biggest.
So the tail started wagging the dog, and you said, "Okay, I'm going with the tail."
Yes.
And is that site still out there? I mean,
no. So that website, I closed it down. It closed down in 2014. It was the home of the Danish Counter-Strike community for a decade and a half. I closed it down in 2014. I did something else, and as I was working on this new project that I'm doing, I decided, you know what, that name means something in Denmark. Who cares? It doesn't really matter. But for the rest of the world, it's still a good name to explain the thing that I want to do.
Right. Okay.
So I decided to revive it and go with it again.
It, but not just for Counter-Strike. But Counter-Strike's out there too. There's lots of Counter-Strike players. I think it's interesting because it is so old. It has an older player base. I mean, I think on average the teams that play Counter-Strike tend to be, I mean, other games they tend to be out and up and out by the time they're 23, and they can be like 30, 35 or something playing Counter-Strike. I mean, it's a whole different world in some ways from the rest of competitive gaming in some ways.
Yes.
Now, with Explain, though, you all are doing things like gear. So what kinds of gear have you written about recently that really caught your eye, that you think are really, well, game changers out there?
So I think what's game changing about peripherals is that the nature of them has changed. So I hold maybe 10 patents in hardware design of coming up with a way of like combining stats with how you do something on a mouse. I think peripherals fundamentally have changed to become more like running shoes than they are these high-tech nuclear-powered devices from Star Trek.
That's probably a good thing in some ways.
I think so, but when you go buy a pair of sneakers,
they're still pretty high-tech. I mean,
but I don't know, what the plastic treatment was of specifically the sole, right? And I don't need to know that for my mouse either. So we're taking a more practical approach to peripherals in general, where we're sort of trying to reinvent the review. Like the process of like, how do I define if this was a meaningful experience to use this peripheral for me, and how do I share that with the community at large?
Well, now that's interesting. So what we're talking about, instead of getting into the nitty-gritty of I don't know, 1440 dots per inch and all those stats, which start to make sense if you read and read and read and start to go, okay, so that's more than this and less than that, but it does. But you need to understand what that actually translates to in actual performance, right? So that's the real challenge for a gamer. It's like, well, how does my game get better, right?
Exactly. How does this correlate to me? What is my experience of this?
Right.
Like, and that's very simple. Like, you look at the statistics of the community, like, oh, everyone else who uses this mouse roughly uses it for 9 months, then they want to change something else. Okay, that tells you something, right?
That's
a data point.
Right.
So what we're basically trying to do is to make a better discovery of these peripherals that are available to you than anyone else out there. So like, you can get the same shopping experience as you would get on Amazon. We'll just hopefully do a much better job at presenting the 5 candidates that would fit well into your hand, into your size, into how left-handed, right-handed, whatever it is.
Right. So that's an interesting way to think about it. So, but that's also, I would think, more of a challenge to write a good review because it's so personal to each person. When you can just rely on the stats, right? It's like, it is 1440 DPI or whatever.
So some of the best reviews on the internet of games are on the Steam platform because they're capable of combining 2 different things. My experience, like my words, what was my experience with the game?
My own subjective experience as a critical player of games.
Absolutely. With the time I've actually spent playing the game when I wrote the review.
Okay.
So we're trying to combine those 2 things. Like, so a review of me doing a review of a mouse is interesting only if you know how long I've used the mouse, what I used it for, and what game I played with it. If you play different games, maybe your experience would be completely different.
Right.
So that's the level of granularity we're going into on the Explain platform.
So tell me how you all get access, because I do see the value of that, but how do you access, look, the whole notion of online reviews is under deep question in a lot of areas because
it's mostly BS. Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's mostly BS. People question the whole Amazon faking their reviews. You've got Rotten Tomatoes saying if you can't prove you watched the movie, you don't get to review it, so you can't jack with the reviews. Things like that are going on. So how do you guarantee that data is good? Where do you get the data that says this person played 9 months with this mouse? Where does that come from?
From the gamer himself. So for a gamer to log onto the platform, he either has to have a Steam account or he has to have a Discord account. That already filters out most of the marketeers in the world. They're not smart enough to make a Discord account. Second of all,
well, he means that, but he doesn't mean that, okay? Marketers of the world.
I meant that.
We love you all very much.
So we actually just ask really, really simple questions. So when you sign up to the platform, like, how long have you been using the mouse you're using right now? We make it very simple for you to choose, this month, this year. And then we tell you, okay, you've been using it for 36 months. That puts you here compared to the rest of the community. Already, during the sign-up process, we're telling you stuff about the gear that you're using that you might not have actually thought about. And by asking you
you're gathering demographic data on the front end as they come in.
And by asking you 5 simple questions, I will know a lot about your peripherals. Like, 1, do you think this mouse has made you a better gamer? That's a
Okay.
really simple question to
It
answer.
really is, right?
But it's really hard to think about. Like,
Well, if you're thinking hard about, what have I got here? You're right. It's like all of a sudden, oh, right, that kind of is literally the bottom line.
yeah.
Right.
And
Does
is
it make
this-
me a better gamer?
Is this mouse comfortable to use after 8 hours? Yes, no.
Right.
Then I know something
what
about the
else are you
comfort.
doing with your life after 8 hours? but yes. But that's interesting. So 5 questions. So does it make you a better gamer? Can you use it for 8 hours and still feel okay without your hand cramping up or any more than you would doing anything for 8 hours?
Does the mouse allow you to play to your fullest potential?
Right. So what are the other? Do you have any other questions? What are the other questions there?
We go into comfort. We go into satisfaction. Do you feel like the money you put into this is worth it? We do a real-time price check as you're signing up. Oh, the mouse that you say you're using right now costs $69.99 at
Right.
Amazon. Is
Right.
this fair to the community?
Right.
Yes, no.
No, that's an interesting question too, because like years and years and years ago, I did some work with a website that was trying to get together, connecting people who liked wine with wines that were good, but would be good for their, but were good for their particular taste pattern, right? And but also the conversation was what we called a quality price ratio, a QPR.
Yes.
Because the idea was, there's a $15 wine that's pretty good. It's not as good as the $90 wine, but I can get 6 bottles of that for the 90 one that's maybe slightly better.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's the same thing. You're saying if I've got a $30 headset that does just fine as opposed to the $200 one, maybe this is really what
Maybe
you should
that's
go ahead
great
and
for
get.
you. It's
It's
exactly.
great, right.
Yes.
So, but it's putting it in perspective. If you've got the Rolls Royce, it damn well better be awesome, right?
Absolutely.
So,
we're,
that's part of it.
We're making a hardware review site. That's where we don't write the reviews. The audience does that.
Right.
And we're also not trying to sell you anything. In fact, we're almost trying to tell you what not to buy.
Well, so how do you make money then? If you're not selling things, you're almost the anti-sales machine here. How are you making money?
Are you familiar with the website, The Wirecutter?
I know the Wirecutter, but it's attached to the New York Times, which helps.
So they have like modernized what the affiliate model could look like, where they have one buy button that instantly signifies to you, oh, I get the buying experience from Amazon that I want.
Right.
But I also get a better product recommendation than whatever garbage I found on that platform.
Okay, so by not selling stuff, or not allowing advertising, you're not as beholden to them, and they can say, if I liked this review or this one, I can buy it, and you scrape off a little bit, 10% or whatever, and that's enough to pay for more camo pants and really fancy
I hope
E3
so.
shoes. Yeah, you hope so. I got you here from Denmark, or from Spain. I'm sorry. You're in where in Spain are you these days?
I live in the Alicante region.
Okay, that's lovely. And why did you end up there from Denmark? It's very different.
I have lived in Taiwan. I have lived in America for a number of years. I've lived in Germany. I've lived in Poland. I travel wherever business finds me.
Okay, and now Spain is the hot place?
It's really hot.
It's really hot right now. I say that in Palm Springs, 2 hours from here is 115 today. So,
I wanted to live in a place where the only stress I have in my body is my stress, not everyone else's.
Not everyone else's. Boy, bless you for that. I mean, good luck, too. So in terms of where you go, Explain is keeping you entertained right now. How big is the site in terms of the number of products, and how many folks are involved in getting all that out the door?
So we're just launching. We're in beta right now. We'll probably leave beta at the end of the year. We're about 6 people involved in the project right now. We have every peripheral that's ever been used in esports.
Really?
Within a mouse, keyboard, headsets, mousepad category. So we're about 1,500 products.
Okay.
My girlfriend and I, who built the website together, we spent almost 2 years gathering technical data for all these products and putting it into different databases. We cover, I think, 1,300 pro gamers, what gear they're using that we have like in the databases, and we are over the next 6 months adding all that together and presenting it to the audience.
So when we say esports, there are lots of mouses out there that aren't really built for the folks on stage right next to us who are showing a bunch of indie esports games, for instance. So you're really talking just about the high end. This is really the gamer equivalent of the race car reviews, right?
Absolutely.
It's like, here's the best shifter on your NASCAR or your IndyCar or your Formula One thing.
Or here's the best one for $50.
And here's the best one for $50.
Yes.
But it still works apparently for folks in esports.
Absolutely.
So that's an interesting, and obviously your background with esports is so long and rich, that makes sense, and you know so many people. Do you find people frequently say we want that one or we like that one? I mean, are you seeing some clear winners at this point that you could talk about?
I think it's like phones. I think we have a tendency to become brands loyalists or some religious zealots, like to some certain degree.
Right.
So
HyperX, for instance.
You're either into Android or you're into iOS, right?
Right. Well, yeah.
You're
That's,
either
that's
into
a religious
Razer, or you're
war.
into Logitech, or you're into SteelSeries. I feel like the brand sort of becomes like almost like jeans and clothes.
Right. Right. You're right. I mean, you like these jeans. You're going to keep getting those jeans because they fit. You like that mouse because you like the way they do it and they lay things out. But even there, though, are there? I mean, you're seeing, I guess, the different tribes, right, for the various brands. Which are there tribes that are bigger, doing better? I mean, how are you within esports?
On a global level in esports, Logitech and Razer are probably doing the best right now.
Okay.
And what we're gonna see over the next year is like probably a bloodbath in retail. As Logitech.
Oh, I think that bloodbath in retail has been bloodbathing for a while.
Yeah, I don't
now.
think it started yet for this specific segment.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
It's gonna get really tough.
Really? Now, why do you say that? Why the next year and a half that the esports video game?
Logitech is not doing super well as a big company, but they're doing really well in the PC gaming peripheral section.
Okay.
That has been the locomotive that drive a lot of the other things that they do. Razer has just IPO'd and want to maintain a stock price at certain level. So
yeah,
those
they've
two
got
are going to
public
do it
pressure
out.
to really
And
make
then you
it
have
go.
Corsair, you have HyperX, you have all these companies coming in, and they want a piece of the pie too, and they're making great products.
Right.
There's too many people making great products for the price points to probably be sustainable for the industry long term.
So HyperX is one of the sponsors here. They've got a pretty entertaining. It's not the Game of Thrones.
It's the Game of what?
It's not the Iron Throne. It's the keyboard and mouse throne,
Yes.
which is pretty entertaining, and I'm sure it'll
It's
get shown.
It's the mind washed machine.
Yeah, exactly. So people like them are pushing really hard in this space, but you're saying that we will probably see some shakeout in that space over the next couple of
There's
years.
20 Chinese companies that make roughly the same products that are waiting to enter the market.
Interesting.
So one of the things that I'll help do is to like sort those products out and help the audience make smart decisions.
Right. Now that's a really interesting challenge because you're right. You're going to see a lot of low-cost challengers. We saw it in the mobile space is sort of notorious. All of a sudden, you had a bunch of phones that were dirt cheap, were pretty good, and the incumbents had to fight back or couldn't. I mean, Sony isn't in the same place it used to be in terms of electronics, for instance, because of the cheap Chinese and North Korean competitors who've gotten better and better and better. So, where do you think that we'll see that most immediately? Is it going to be all across the whole esports gamer peripheral universe?
I think it's going to start in retail first, just because retail is under scrutiny and pressure, as you already said, right?
Right.
So when the margin starts going down, it becomes even harder to sustain that.
Right.
But we will see that materialize across the industry itself. Like we're long overdue for a correction in the market. And once that happens, then we are looking at an esports industry that is mainly driven by marketing budgets.
Okay.
That's
and who's
one
got the marketing budget, right?
One of the first things that gets cut in a crisis or in a recession
Right.
is your marketing budget, of course.
Well, that's the dumbest thing. I mean, I don't want to encourage more marketing, but the reality is, if people don't hear about you, you're done, right? I mean, if they can't, it doesn't matter how good it is. I mean, you can write a nice review and that'll help, but you got to find out about it too. So that's going to be an interesting thing. What does that mean for all the esports players out there, whether they're pros or they're coming up and trying to just play competitively?
So we don't have a lot of historic data for this, but we have one, like the recession in 2008, 2009.
Right.
The industry was cut in half.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes. Back then, it was a very different industry. Like companies like Valve and Riot didn't care. They weren't there with products in the market that they were supporting at the time. So when I say didn't care, like they didn't have a viable product that they could do something with, right?
Right.
Today, the publishers are very interested in getting their games played and expanding that ecosystem. In 2008, 2009, most of the money in the space came from Microsoft. It came from NVIDIA, companies like that.
Intel, I think, was putting some money in.
Yes. And then you had like peripheral companies that made up maybe 40% of the whole space. When they started pulling out their budgets, there was a lot of teams that started folding. So if I just sort of look at like the prize money you could win back then that could sustain you as a human being,
right,
the industry was cut in half.
The livable wage, and so a lot of that marketing budget was going into the tournaments. So the issue is, can we keep it going for the health of esports as it's bubbling up? And I think that one of the things that's different, or I believe is different now, because we're seeing it. I just wrote a piece for Forbes about, and for TV Rev about the explosion of like college esports arenas, sites like Super League Gaming that make it possible to have your local restaurant or movie theater become an esports tournament location. So it's popping up in all kinds of places. But I'm sort of curious about, as it's blowing up, are there new kinds of advertisers beyond the endemics like the peripherals that are helping make it a healthier?
Oh, absolutely. You know, like everything from like car insurance companies to Mercedes, right? Like,
Right.
So the ecosystem is no longer like just nerds like me and my generation. Now it's like everyone. And that's also, I think, the next evolution of what esports is. Like the reason why esports will do much better in whatever coming recession hits us is because it's no longer defined to nerd culture. It's just culture.
Right.
Like
well, I think that's the point of all of Subnation is it's tied to gaming, but it's about just this culture of lifestyles of what people are into.
Absolutely. Like, so my girlfriend has a son. He's 9 years old. Him and his friends don't sit and discuss soccer. They discuss Fortnite
or FIFA.
Yeah, that's the only thing that they care about. Like,
right.
So you know, like what we're witnessing now is like a cultural disruption of sports as an ecosystem.
Right.
Like, how many 17-year-old kids today do you think are gonna go out and like, oh, I can't wait to become, you know, a U.S. soccer sports star? Or do you think they're going to be a Dota 2 star that, you know, where you can become a millionaire at age 17?
Right. Sure.
I'm pretty sure I know what they're going to set their sights on.
There's a whole set of them definitely going that way. Some of them like playing soccer. They like to kick the ball around. But you're right. I mean, the opportunity becomes a whole nother kind of star, and you can practice all day and all night long if you want to.
Think about it this way. If you were born in 98 or later, you have never not known a world where esports wasn't normal. It's us old farts that remember the world that before that, right?
I fully agree, except that I know lots of people that still can't get their head around esports. And I say, look, do you ever watch a football game or a basketball game? They go, yeah, sure, of course. I was like, well, what's the difference between you who've never played football or basketball watching a basketball game and people who've played these video games watching other people play these video games and do well at them?
In 2008, I had multiple friends who told me, I will never use a phone without a keyboard.
Yeah, BlackBerry.
I don't see them anymore. I don't see them anymore.
They're with BlackBerry in the ghost-ridden town of dead devices. There's no doubt about it, right? No, I mean, in Hollywood in particular, where I do a lot of writing, I mean, agents used to have their BlackBerry surgically grafted to their hand, and they would da-da-da-da with one hand, and they could da-da-da-da and send out 1,000 text messages to their assistant and all their clients and the 15 deals they were trying to cut that day. And now they're all on something else, right? And rolling 200 calls that way. So where do you think the peripheral world can go? So we've got this very established ecosystem of, as you know, keyboard, mouse, mouse pad, the things that you review. But we've got things like VR games coming, and we've partly here, really, but and AR games that are really interesting, and some of the things that they're possible as we get more and more power. We've got 5G coming down the pike. We've got over here the cable industry talking about 10G. They're landline-based, even higher, 10 gigabit speed stuff. We've got even the broadcasters trying to figure out ways to do better connectivity and interactivity. So where do the peripherals go, and what do you think's cool that's going to be coming down the pike that might change the future of esports?
So I think we're pretty much set for innovation in the industry, which sounds scary, but like I would equate it to the tennis catcher. I without knowing, my guess is that fundamentally the tennis catcher hasn't fundamentally changed in the last 10, 20 years.
Right.
Same thing with the badminton catcher or the whatever ball thingy that they're hitting. You know,
I mean, the racket itself.
Yeah,
but the rackets did change a lot in tennis. I know they went crazy and they strung them up with the nylon and as opposed to wood, and now they're like these rocket devices.
But the fundamental like what it is, right? There might be lightweight materials, but they're not going to be anti-gravity all of a sudden, or made of laser or something, right?
Not yet. We're doing VR tennis soon, and I'll look forward to that.
So fundamentally, like I think the tool sets that allow you to perform with high levels of precision are more or less done. What will change will be the games that we play. It won't be like necessarily the peripherals. I think there's still some stuff to do for integration. When I press WASD, how hard I press them should determine how fast I move in the game. That level of like sort of integration still has some room for innovation, but more or less I think the peripherals are actually done.
Okay, they're there, and it's just going to be working around the edges. Well, that's probably a good place to stop. I'm David Bloom with Kim Rom, and you've just been hearing about X-Plane and explaining about where the world of peripherals and esports are going. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Day 2 kicks off now at the Subnation stage live from E3. We're at the E3 Esports Zone. I am your host, Machine, and I am joined by Bernie and Jan from 2 different projects respectively, of course, working together, collaborating, and that is why they find themselves on the sofa at the same time. Jan, Bernie, great to have you with us. So Brave coming in from one side of things and Artificial next on the other. I mean, there's so many exciting questions. I mean, I think the first, given that the title has been Brave with Bernie and Jan, we'll start with Brave. And Jan, you've kind of given me the elevator pitch already, but for those unfamiliar with Brave, how would you describe it?
Yeah, so Brave is a web browser and a new way to pay publishers on the web. So currently, if you go to a website or a Twitch stream or a YouTube channel and you think, wow, this site's really cool, what if I could help this creator fund what they're doing and produce more content? And sometimes, they don't have a way to do that. Maybe they have a Patreon or maybe they have a thing. But Brave aims to be a unified way to pay any publisher on the web.
So it's unifying because you can support truly anyone. Anyone you feel is due some support, you can do so financially and whatever way through
exactly.
Brave.
And also, it just saves energy and time because otherwise, I have subscriptions on New York Times, all these news sites, and those are different accounts. But with Brave, like in the future, this could potentially be just one account that I put money into, and it allocates among all the publishers that I like
Fantastic.
and want to fund.
And then the link to that to Artificial Next, which is a very interesting project, Bernie, that I was surprised I hadn't heard of it because it does seem like a revolution. I mean, this is interesting. You have taken the platform of Twitch and done something very different.
I hope so, yeah. So Artificial Next, the show is called Artificial, and it is the first original sci-fi series on Twitch. And the story follows an AI being trying to become human, but the show is scripted, serialized, narrative, interactive, and live to the audience as we go. So it's like a TV show presented live where the audience can affect together as one community, affect the story positively or negatively, however they see fit.
See, that to me, that just seems like that's the future. So the framing between TV shows and games, and something I always do to explain single-player games to those the uninitiated is it's like a blockbuster movie you can control.
Yes.
I'm like, you can make choices that affect the story. That's how I sell single-player games to those that don't know it. This is a TV show that you can control and change and influence alongside the rest of the viewers.
Of course. So, I've had those discussions too with the difference between TV or traditional stories and gaming. I always thought the gaming part was that gaming required you to be active. You couldn't just put the controller down and let the whole story play out. With our show, you can do that. You can not do anything and let the whole story play out and watch what everybody else does affect the story together. But if you want to involve yourself in the journey of the hero or whatever you want, that's where the beauty of this format lies, where now it's this hybrid of we as a group can influence the story positively or negatively. We can be in the canon of the story forever, which is another separation from games too, because games reset.
Yes.
Right? And your experience in a game is different than your experience in the game versus my experience in the game. Together here, we're all seeing the same story.
Yeah, I also feel you're going to have a divided fan base. Jan, I don't know about you, but if I get attached to characters when I'm watching a TV show,
Yeah, me too. I mean, everyone does this with Game of Thrones,
yeah.
right?
Sure. You get invested.
Everyone
You get invested in a character. You
that
follow them, and that means other people can affect a character you've been following. I wish they didn't do this. You're going to have division in this project.
Yes, absolutely. That is exactly what we are selling in our story. It's that you can be in it with us if you want, but they are characters. So it's we like to say, people like to go, oh, can you just tell the characters to kill somebody or do something just really outlandish, throw a drink in my face, right? But the difference there is that you are not blank canvas characters. You are your own beings. You have your own moral values and ethics as a person.
Yeah.
So I can say, kill somebody all I want, but you're probably not going to do it if it's not in your character, right? Sure. Versus saying, I really want you to say an insult to him. That's probably a little more viable in this right situation. So that's how we frame it, is that the characters in Game of Thrones, they're characters. Ideally, they are consistent to their characters. Whether they have were or not is up to you in your own debate. But ideally,
It's a
they
different conversation. Different conversation.
But we, as audiences, should be able to provide influence, like be a voice in their ear. Hey, maybe you shouldn't kill that person, or hey, maybe you should reveal that secret.
Right. So a question, kind of perhaps more the technical side of things. How do you determine what extent of the choices that they like? What extent of freedom you're giving the audience? How much, like those decisions, they're being generated somewhere, right? So they have to at least adapt to this character, their morals, their drives. How's that getting chosen? I guess is the question I'm asking.
We're storytellers and we choose it.
Yeah.
And so it's still within the parameters. It's like it's not even if something as trivial as like what clothes you're gonna wear. We all have our own personal styles. We all have our own boundaries what we do. And so what we make sure to do is that we give them certain choices, and we, as storytellers, accept whatever of the choices they pick. Right. So there's never we really hope they pick this, and we really don't want to pick this. If it's ever that, we just don't give them that choice.
Right.
We just give them choices. Sure, maybe a slight preference, because one will be a little more dramatic, perhaps.
Sure.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the second thing I will say is that we always try to provide new technologies into how we implement these things, which is like how we use Twitch as a platform, how we're hoping to use Brave as a platform to provide influence into our storytelling.
And Brave as a platform. I mean, let's come back, Jan, because I do want to get my head around this. This is a fully functional web browser. You are responsible for keeping it safe and functional. So I actually want to talk a little bit about that because we touched on it. I explained my absence of understanding, and perhaps you can give us a way to get our heads around it. So it's a secure browser.
Yeah,
and,
this is so hard to explain without a demo
whiteboard?
or slides or something. But yeah, so it's a web browser. People often say what's a browser these days, but they just think of it as a search engine. But yeah, it's the thing you open when you want to search Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever. And it blocks ads by default, blocks trackers. We're very security and privacy focused. We don't collect data about our users in the same way that Google or Chrome does. So that's a big feature. Yeah.
Private, secure, everything.
Yeah, no tracking.
You would want from a browser, and you can support those that need it.
Yeah. So you can try it out on Brave.com. We try to be faster than the other browsers. That's another thing our users like.
I feel like that is that just a constant race? Like all of the browsers are just constantly in a race to be the fastest? Is it?
Well, it's a constant upstream battle against websites because as websites grow and get more complex, they add more JavaScript, more resources,
right.
And so over time, website loading, if browsers didn't do anything, websites would just get slower and slower because people would cram more stuff in there.
Oh, a whole new war I didn't know existed. Websites v browser.
I wouldn't call it a war, but it's a struggle.
Okay, well that's news to me. And how is Brave working with artificial?
So Bernie, you can explain this more.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things we do is that we have this collaboration where, within the browser, I mean, you would have to explain the advertising system with the sharing partnership. That's definitely something where, as a partner and a content creator of Brave, there's an opportunity for Brave to obviously they can promote us within the browser system, but because you as a user you can opt in and opt out of the ad system, the platform, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't force you to say, go watch artificial.
Right.
But if you do opt in and you see a sci-fi interactive show on Twitch may be interesting to you, then you as a user can go over. You can support the show through the monetization system with the partnership with the cryptocurrency thing you guys have.
Right.
Again, you can explain that better than I can. But that's the idea. And so we have gotten several new fans actually who've come in to our show midstream, mid drama, and going hey, what is this? Brave sent me over here. And it's and so they're kind of part of the ecosystem, and they kind of understand I like to think if you're on Brave and you're kind of an early adopter, you would accept a show as wild and crazy as ours with our ecosystems.
And so just to quickly, sorry, I want to just
go ahead.
The summary. If anyone is listening to this and wants to watch Brave, wants to get their head around it, you're one season in already. So I mean, do I
For
have
artificial?
Do I want to catch up on artificial?
Yeah. So we've designed it that if you just watch season 2, I think you're okay.
Okay.
Okay. So season 1 was last year. It ran from July last year till September. 16 episodes. The season just recently won a Peabody Award.
Congratulations.
Becoming the, I believe, first Peabody ever won by Twitch. Pretty confident in that statement.
Yeah.
There are not many Peabodys awarded to Twitch shows. No offense to Twitch, but that's just kind of not where those align. And because it was so innovative, it won. Season 2, when we designed season 2 this time out, we tried to be simpler in the sense that if you just came into the show, you would get it.
Yeah.
You would get there's an AI that's trying to become human with the help of the audience helping her, and that's the basics of it. Yes, there are intricacies in the characters and the drama, of course, but we try to make it very simple. So,
and I'm sure there's a Twitch chat that will be happy to help you out and let you know what you've missed. I mean,
yes,
that's another fantastic function of the platform. Fantastic. I'm being told we should wrap things up, but Jan, anything else? So we go to brave.com.
Yeah, and again, it's really great to hear we've brought new viewers to your stream because we're all about supporting creators. Yeah. So if anyone out there, you guys have Twitch or YouTube, you can go to publishers.brave.com and sign up, and you can start getting tips from our browser users. So yeah.
Easy as that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So it's another way for you to get support if you are an influencer, content creator, and of course you can support all your favorite shows. Artificial Next, worth checking out as well. Absolutely, I'm on my way, and we are on our way to a break. So we're going to take a quick one. When we do come back, much more here at the Subnation stage. Subnation Live is back in business. We're live from E3 at the E3 Esports Zone, and I'm your host, Alex Machine Richardson, joined by Alex, the host. It's Golden Boy who's joining me now on the sofa, and we are here to talk about Level Up, which is a very exciting show that I'm not going to explain half as well as Mr. Mendez. Hello.
That's right. How you doing, man?
This is cool.
Yeah.
Alex Squared is back, reunited.
Alexception. Actually, Alex, try Alex, because Axel Toss is
He's
right
over
up
there as well.
So we have 3 Alexes.
Does that mean our parents were really uncreative? Like, was that what that was?
So, fun fact, my name is Alex.
Yeah.
My father's name is Alex.
Oh dear.
My older brother name is Alex.
There's a lot of Alexes in the world.
Yeah. So, I would say a little uncreative.
Have you ever thought about going like, Alexander, like, trying to make Alex a little bit more spicy?
I tried, but it just wasn't working.
I thought about Alexander for a while.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe Alexander.
You can get away with it. I can't get away with that.
But then when you're shaking hands with someone, you go, "Hi, Alexander Richardson. Lovely to meet you."
Yes.
It's too much. It's too simple.
Alexandria Mendez.
Oh.
Yes. There you go.
Now there's a twist I didn't see coming.
There you go. That's going to happen.
So you're here to talk about Level Up. Give us
That's
the quick summary of what is Level Up, a TV show you've been working on.
Yeah. So a little whiles back, the folks at Subnation had reached out to me about this thing called, Level Up. It was going to be this. The way that it was framed to me was, like old school back in the day. Like one of those Pimp My Ride type shows, but
yes,
for video game setups. And I'm all about helping people. To me, I used to work as a social worker for many years, helping people with developmental disabilities and doing all that stuff. And so helping people means a lot to me, and helping people who need the assistance means a lot to me. So I figured when they reached out to me about this that, hey, let me go ahead and give it a shot. Went through the process, and we got a few episodes in, and I'm very happy with how it turns out. The crew on site was amazing. It was really cool.
So you are looking for people with like kind of poorly set up gaming rigs.
I'm looking for people that have like that their setup is basically like one step away from like their chairs like an ice bucket, upside down. Maybe their desk is a little shoddy,
Sure.
right? Their PC needs life support.
Yeah.
Like those kinds of things.
I mean, I recently I leveled up my own setup, and I tell you now, it's life-changing. Like
Yeah.
I went fancy desk, standing desk. I'd got the fancy lights I can control by my phone, 2 silly, ridiculous-sized screens. Life-changing, man.
It really is. It's crazy.
It is.
A good setup can also lead to a lot of productivity, which is also a huge plus. When you have multiple monitors, you're able to do more work. When you're able, and also just game better, right?
Yeah, but I truly believe it's easier to relax and play games in an environment like that. Like, I mean, games are an escape. It is relaxation, it is entertainment, and I do think when your environment is distracting and uncomfortable, it's very hard to truly invest and get lost in that, this reality or whatever.
Yeah, and the game plan as well is just RGB everything, because when you think about dope setups.
Did you see the HyperX Game of Thrones chair?
I did. I walked right by and I thought it was. There's so many good like crazy things that we've seen here.
Yeah.
E3's been pretty bananas. Random aside, yesterday I was walking around the South Hall or the whatever hall that is, and I guess I passed by Monster Hunter, and they had a giant ice dragon. I didn't even notice that. I was like thinking about the show, and I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe for the next one, Exhibit like to put fish tanks in people's cars. My thing, take giant ice dragons, put it in their homes. That's what I want to do.
So that's my follow-up. You've just given me a lovely little layup there. I'm here to dunk.
Yeah.
Exhibit did do ridiculous things to cars.
He did.
It was ridiculous. Like, someone said, like, oh, yeah, I like golf every 3rd Wednesday of the month, and he makes him like a golf caddy.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Was that equally as kind of elaborate?
We did talk about it, but we kept it grounded within reality. Okay. I personally would like to go with the absurd.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing that we went pretty absurd on was, and you'll see it when the show premieres, is we had these giant Vizio TVs that were ridiculous, like massive TVs, and like the places where we would set them up inside of the rooms and stuff.
You're doing very well with not spoiling it, but getting me excited. You've got a lovely balance being struck here.
It honestly, for me, was like the highlight because each time we would do something and then someone would come in and they'd be like, holy, what? Like, that thing is huge. And it's like, hey, man, it's a giant TV on your wall there. You're welcome, you know?
So what was one of your... I mean, I'm sure you don't want to spoil it for those that are going to tune in. But is there a favorite setup you had during your shoot?
Oh yeah, there was this one guy named I believe it was Lamb. I want to say, and I'd met this guy who was actually a fan of me from the Overwatch League. So I didn't know this going into it. And I think it was, I want to say it was Jerry or Lamb, one of the others. It's been a while. And when I got to his house, he lived in a really, really nice neighborhood in Southern California. But it was just like really cool. His father was, I want to say, he like worked with jade. He made jade sculptures and stuff.
Okay.
Really cool stuff. But this guy was so nice, and he was such a huge Overwatch fan, and we just wanted to make sure that he could game and play Overwatch, and he wanted to climb the ladder, get his SR higher.
Okay, so you went like the competitive route. Like
Yeah. So he was like more of a
ergonomics.
comp guy, which was really good, and then there's another guy who we're actually gonna be talking to later on, Chase, who is a character and he was a really, really funny dude, and he had a really interesting setup. Which you'll see when the show goes live. But
do we have a date? Do we know when we can look forward?
For right now, I mean, not too sure.
Okay,
honestly, I think everything's still being hammered out. But obviously, stay tuned to Real Subnation on Twitter, Tryhard, who came in with the support as well on Instagram, as well as Subnation on Instagram. And they'll be posting it there. I'm very excited for it. I'm very excited for people to check it out. It really does remind me of the old school, like MLG used to do the Ultimate Gaming House back in the day.
Yeah.
But I felt like we kind of took that and then added a lot of colors and RGB.
RGB
we just went hard.
I mean, there's a genuine correlation between the amount of RGB and the amount of headshots you're hitting in Counter-Strike.
It's true.
I've learned it recently.
It's true.
Yeah, I added a light strip, instantly top of the scoreboard.
Yeah, so there you go, kids. Just get
Colors.
RGB and you'll win games.
Yeah.
RGB, click heads. Easy as that.
Basically.
That's it. That's the whole game. But yeah, we're very excited for the show. It's going to be super fun.
Yeah.
And just kind of hoping that people dig it and support it. And I hope it's something that I'll be able to do more and more because, like I said before, I like to be able to help people. And I'm hoping that we are going to be able to provide that moving forward.
Fantastic. Well, we actually have an opportunity to take a little look, a little sneak peek of Level Up and see what all this hype is about. So let's take a look.
All right, everyone, welcome to Level Up. Now, this is the show where we take a boring gaming setup and upgrade it, making it the ultimate gaming experience. I'm your host, Golden Boy, and we're very excited because today we're actually going to be at the House of Lamb.